Um, Good evening, everyone. Just 1 minute. Okay, fine. So we can start. Today, we are looking at how to apply and secure undergraduate admission with scholarship in the USA. Before the class started, a lot of people had called me and asked me that, is this for undergraduate alone or also for master's degrees? And I keep repeating that the class is strictly for undergraduate. It's not because the things that we are talking about today is not applicable to masters, but I want to focus on undergraduate scholarship. And so if you are interested in masters, probably we'll have another session for that. But a whole lot of things that we're going to look at today might be applicable, and some of them will not be applicable. So let's know that our focus is on undergraduate admission. Okay, so again, my name is Abiodun Adetula. I help individuals and businesses to achieve their set objectives swiftly. And I help people to think and work smart. I help them to improve their processes and their performance, and I help companies to create positive experiences with their customers. These are some of my certifications, even though they are not necessary for today's talk. Okay, so I run a consulting firm called Acceltage Consulting, and in which I help companies and individuals to do the things that I just mentioned. So let's look at our guidelines for the next 2 hours, 30 minutes. Safety. We know some of us might be on the road. So, but wherever you are, just make sure that you observe safety rules there. If you're going to be on the road and you are going to be watching, you might try as much as possible to concentrate on the road and listen to what is being said instead of trying to watch your phone. And wherever you are, just make sure that you observe safety rules where you are. Logging on time and prepared, I think we've done that. Some of us have done that. Then let's put our app or our Zoom, let's put it on mute so that there will not be any form of distractions. And also, let's off the video. If we off the video, then we can play with the bandwidth that we have so that there will not be issues of either on your side or my side, the issue of network affecting us. So let's off our videos. Okay, so let's keep an open mind. Let's avoid side conversations wherever you are. Reduce background noise. That is the onus on us to reduce background noise. Let's respect other people's opinions, especially when we give time for questions and answers. Then let's have fun, even though it seems to be a serious issue, but we want to make it as fun as much as possible. Your phone, don't let it disturb you, and don't let it disturb us, please. Okay, so I guess we can start. Okay. Why we should consider sending our kids to study in the USA if we have the opportunity. These are some of the things that I put down here that I want us to just look at. That US universities have excellent international reputation. The top 100 schools in the world, 36 of them are in the US. So you have about 25% chance that you are schooling in a country that has the top 100 schools. Then out of the top 2,000 schools in the world, US alone has about 169 schools represented. So a whole lot of them have international reputation. In fact, some of the ones that we'll be talking about are among the top 20, top 30 that some of us can have access to. Okay, so also why do we look at US schools? Because they have excellent support facilities and cutting-edge research. And we want our kids, or we want you to be able to go to school that you know that you're not only going to learn the theoretical aspect alone, we are also involved in the, what they call it now, in the practical aspect and having access to latest research and all that. Then they have flexible academic environments. For example, now, in a lot of us that are online now, we are from Nigeria. If you want to apply to a Nigerian school, you must choose the course that you want before you even get into the school. In fact, by the time you're writing JAM, you must have chosen the course that you want, and it's that course that you will use to decide on the subjects that you are working on.
I'll stay here. I won't stay there.
So would like us to mute our videos, please. Our Zoom, please. So in Nigerian schools, it's going to be that school. How do you put it now? You would have chosen the course before you even sit for JAM, and it's based on the course that you are going to even decide on the courses or the subjects you're going to do. It's not like that for US universities. In US universities, it doesn't matter the course that you choose. For almost all the schools, your first year in school is for you to understand the university environment. It's going to be at year 2 that you're going to make up your mind and choose your major. And that's the course that you want to do. So you could have, for example, in the case of my own daughter, she started school with biology, and our goal was to study medicine after her first degree. But by second semester, year 1, she changed her mind that she's not doing biology anymore, that she wants to do data analytics and computer science. By the time she gets to year school, when she will fully decide, she went fully into computer science, and that's what she's doing now. So your year 1 is just for you to have an idea of what the school is about. So it doesn't matter what you chose. When you get there, you can finally make up your mind. That is one. Number 2, they have flexible academic environment because you can decide to do 2 degrees within your 4 years. So you see people having 2 majors. Then sometimes you have 1 major and you have minor. So which means that you don't need to have, you could have 2 different degrees in your 4-year in academic year. So those are the opportunities that you have that make them flexible. Then in US, some people would say, which is true, that we also have a whole lot of opportunities in European schools, which is especially France, Germany, and Sweden. There's a lot of opportunities there. But one of the benefits of US school is that there's less racism. Why? Because it's like a conflux of so many races from all over the world, so many countries all over the world. There's the conflux of them, and we have less issue with language barrier because it's taught, everything that you do there is taught in English. So these are some of the benefits that you have. Then also we have more scholarship opportunities. We have also had issues when people tell us that we want to look at the top 3 countries that issue scholarships to their students. US is not even there, interestingly. We are looking at a whole lot of schools that are issuing out scholarships. Yeah, but when you look at in terms of amounts and the number of students that get scholarships, then you know that US is number 1. If you look at virtually all schools in Sweden, they are free, but how many schools are in Sweden? That's what we should be asking. Because if you look at the top 3 schools in the world, top 3 countries in the world with the highest number of schools, US is number 3. Interestingly, the first country is India. The second country, strange but true, is Indonesia. And the third country in the world is US. The 4th country in the world is China. So when it comes to a whole lot of scholarship opportunities, there's no other country that gives us those opportunities like US. Then number 6, which is probably one of the most important things, and which most of us should be interested in. In US, when it comes to career opportunities, there's no other country when you go to university that has better career opportunities like in US. Why? Because if you're looking at where you have the Silicon Valley, if you're looking at where you have your Fortune 500 companies, if you're looking at where you have a whole lot of multi-million-dollar businesses, it's in the US. If you're looking at the place that have the largest number of startups, it's in the US. So your kids or our kids have a better chance of getting a high-paying job in the US than anywhere in the world. 2 weeks ago, I was discussing with a friend of mine, a lady that also has 2 of her kids in US. And I asked her a simple question. I said, let's assume that you have your 3rd kid and you want him to go to any school in the world. And all the countries in the world, they have scholarship opportunities. So your son is qualified for all the scholarships available in all the countries. Which country would you want your child to go? She said, it's still going to be US. And I asked why. She said, the opportunity that is in US, you can't get it in any other country. So even though you could get scholarship opportunities in so many other countries, but the opportunities that come along with it. For example, some of our kids from their year 2, which even though we'll not cover it, but these are things that benefit the kid from year 2, they have access to internships. And most of the internships that they get access to, that is, if they follow some things that we'll be looking at today, are very high-paying jobs. You can imagine a child doing an internship in a place like Amazon, like Google, like Facebook, and in 3 months, no, it's not just 3 months, it's about 2.5 months of internship, or let's say 2 months of internship. And your child is getting about maybe $6,000 per month just doing internship. If you convert $2,000 to maybe Nigerian money, how much would that one give us? That's 6 times 15, that's about 9 million naira per month, roughly, that your child or your ward is getting. And that is for internship. So what if your child now eventually has the opportunity to work in those companies, which the chances are very high if the child does well in those internships. So there's no other country on the face of the earth as of today that gives you all this opportunity. And so, like we said, based on our question, if we have the opportunity, we will advise everyone, let the child go to the US to study, if the opportunity is there. Now, but there are challenges along with this. But okay, these are data, these are some of the data that we have here. In top 100 universities, the US has 36 universities out of 100 in the world. China has 12. China and Hong Kong together. Europe together, UK has 11. Germany has 8. And like that. Interestingly, the top 100 universities, I'm not sure if any, okay, I think there's one African country, which I can't remember now, but these are like the top 60 that we have, or the top 70 that we have here, and US has 36 alone. Okay, the challenge with US schools is the cost of tuition and living is very expensive, and the schools are very, very, very competitive. Now, in the mail that we sent, we said average tuition costs plus cost of living for undergraduate studies in US about $26,000 to $70,000 annually for students. Let's see a breakdown. This is a school called Howard University, for a whole lot of Nigerian schools that prepare their students to go to study abroad. This is one of the schools that they normally recommend for them. And I will tell us why later on. So a lot of us know about Howard University already, or a lot of people will know about Howard University. Now, Howard University, the total cost of studying at Howard University is the tuition itself is $35K per year. And then you have the housing, 11,000. Then you have food, 6,000. Unlike Nigerian schools that you have, maybe you could stay outside campus, you pay, but it's probably much more expensive to stay outside the campus unless you have a family around the campus. So here in most of the schools, you'll have to pay for housing. You also pay for feeding, because there's always there's food, that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner that you are supposed to pay for upfront. Okay, so if you check all that we put there, the breakdown there, in total, Howard is about $59,000. That's Howard University, $59,000. Interestingly, a friend of mine, one of my very close friends, his daughter just traveled to the US yesterday. So please, we would like us to put our phones on mute. Please help us to do that, please. I think I need to do that myself. Okay. Who else is still this? I can't see the person that is still talking, please, and we'll appreciate if you could just help us to mute that phone, please. And if you know that you have other things to maybe just log out, please. If I see the person, I may have to remove the person completely. I'm looking for the person. Okay, so just so done. Okay, now how would you need to get part of the scholarship? So let's look at some of the schools that we have in. For example, now Fisk yearly fees is about $42,000. If you convert it to Nigerian naira, that's about 62.8 million naira a year that you will pay if there's no scholarship at all for your child. And you can imagine if you have to pay for 4 years, that's about 271 million naira you'll be paying for your child. If you look at Howard, about 59,000. So in Nigerian money, that's about 19 million naira per year if there's no scholarship. So for 4 years, you'll be paying about 360 million naira just to train your child. Then we look at big schools like maybe Brown, Harvard, or Dartmouth. Brown is $91,000, 91,700. That's roughly 148 million naira you are paying per year for your child. And in 4 years, that's about 592 million naira. Then you also have Harvard, which is about $83,000, about 133 million, which is roughly about 535 million naira in 4 years. The same thing with Dartmouth, which is about $91,000 per year, and that's about 147 million per year. So in naira, so like about roughly 590 million in 4 years. So you can see that practically it will be for most of us, even if you are a politician, even if you are a corrupt official, for you to say you want to raise about 500 million for your child, it's going to be heavy on anybody to do. So what do people do? Before we even look at what individually they do, let's even look at how expensive these schools are. Let's look at how competitive the schools are. Brown University, we put it there is what, $91,000 per year. See how many people that apply to Brown University in this current year. That's class of 2028. That's people that resume this August, September, and they will complete their studies in 2028 around May. 48,898 students applied to Brown University. And they come from all the 50 US states and from 166 countries in the world applied to Brown University. How many did they accept? 5% of them. That's about 2,523 students that Brown University accepted. Interestingly, because they accepted does not mean that you will eventually enroll. Because if they accept you and you don't have scholarship, that means you have to pay for them. So if you cannot afford to pay, you may have to go out. And sometimes some of them have better offers somewhere, or they have other offers, or some of them, because of the school fees, for example, maybe a Nigerian student that couldn't get scholarship may get this and may end up backing out because they could not afford to pay and they didn't get scholarship. So for the people that they accepted, not necessarily the people that enrolled, 2,523 students were accepted out of 40,000 students. Harvard had 55,000 applicants. They only accepted 3.5%. That's about 1,974 students that they accepted. And out of the 1,974, not all of them will eventually be enrolled. Columbia University had 60,000 applicants. That's one of the highest. And they only accepted 3.85%. That's 2,300 students. University of Pennsylvania has 65,000 applications. And they've not released their figures as at this morning, but roughly they will definitely accept less than 6% of the students. And that's about 3,900 students. Yale University had 57,000 applicants. They only accepted 2,126 students. Dartmouth had 31,600 applicants, and they accepted only 5.3%. That's about 1,678. Like I said, because they accept you, does not necessarily mean that you will enroll in that school. But these are the people that they gave admission letters to and admission offers to. So you could see that in the case of Brown University, people apply from all over the world, more than 160 countries all over the world. Despite all that, only 2,523 students were accepted. So what we are looking at today, or sometimes we'll be looking at, is how we can increase our chances of going to some of these prestigious schools that also offer scholarships. So let's move on. So from what you have seen here, you see that it's even very, very difficult to enter most of these schools. That is one. That's most of the good ones that are with scholarship or that are highly prestigious, among the top 100 in the world. And for your information, the 6 schools that we put here, they are all Ivy League schools that we put here. And there's a reason why I put the Ivy Leagues here. So now you see that the challenge is now there, that one thing is about the money, another one is opportunity to be able, even if you have your money, does not guarantee that you will enter. Okay, so what do people do? A lot of international students will just go for any of the cheapest universities that they can find in the US with limited courses and opportunities. And we have had that before. And also, in all fairness to them, any school there, it has a high chance of success than virtually any school in this country. And I'll give us the reason later. It's part of it I've told us earlier on in terms of the environment that we have. So, but there's a challenge with that, which is what I want to look at, because I want us to be able to think and get all the opportunities available to us. If you go to any cheap or just any university, just because the amounts are cheap, maybe $8,000 per year, and that's what we could raise. Let's just pay the 8,000, even though it's expensive. 8,000 is roughly about maybe 14 million naira in Nigeria. We'll just study, because I've seen parents that's what they do. They sell their houses or collect loan just to take their children abroad, and they will not be looking for very cheap schools, or maybe $8,000 or $10,000 per year. Now, the challenge with those schools, even though you will still get good education, is that you may not be able to get good courses and courses of your choice in those schools, because most of them always have limited courses. That's one. Number two, there are a whole lot of schools in the US that have partnerships with all those big companies. So some of them we'll look at. So we have a lot of schools that have partnerships with the big companies in the US, or not necessarily big, but high-paying companies, and companies that are highly competitive. Now, if you go to some of those cheap universities, you may not have the opportunity to work with those companies. Not that when you finish school, you may not get there, but remember I told you that from year 2, most of the students during their internship, they already have the opportunity to work with some of these companies already. If you go to those cheap universities, you might not be able to have that opportunity. Number 2, you may end up studying courses like, and that's what people do. They go there, they leave Nigeria to go to US. I them studying courses like nursing and all those other courses. It's not because they are bad, but those are not originally what the students want to do, but because those are what is readily available, and those are the cheap courses that they could do. So because they have limited courses, they also give them, limited opportunities. So they may not be able to achieve their potentials in the US environment. Those are the challenges going to those very cheap universities, even though if you can think that you can afford it. Now, or they look for the ones that have high acceptance rates. And it's also those that are not that popular, or that are not that prestigious, or they don't have a lot of partnerships that have very high acceptance rates. Sometimes people get education loans, even in the US. That's what most of their students do. Because some of the scholarships, most of the scholarships we are looking at today, or that we'll be discussing, a whole lot of their students, in my own estimation, about 70% of them, they are not even getting scholarships that we're going to be discussing. So, but yet, they go to those schools. So you will see, but why they're able to go to those schools is because they have in the country, they have opportunities for student loans. But the challenge with student loans or with education loans is that you can imagine, just look at, you take student loan to go to a school like Brown University. And at the end of your 4 years, you are owing about 9 times, that's about $360,000 that you are owing. What will likely be your job that you start with? Maybe you start getting, maybe you finish school, you get the job of about $50,000, or between $50,000 and $70,000. That's your first year. And you have about $360,000 loan that you want to pay. So the question is, how many years are you going to be working for you to keep paying loan, for you not to start enjoying the benefit of your academic degree? So you will see that even using, what they call it now, student loan, is not the way forward, even if you have access to it. And that's why you will see today, in case if you check the news, that a whole lot of graduates in the US are finding it very difficult to make good money. Why? Because they get jobs. It's not if the jobs, most of them may not even get the fantastic jobs. And even if they get jobs, they have a whole lot of loans that they are paying. And because they are paying the loans, they are not really enjoying the benefit of the education. So now, and there's a whole lot of school of thought now that education is unnecessarily too expensive, and the value, you're not getting that value from education, which is true. Because if you get loan of about $360,000 to finish your education, and you cannot pay back in 3 or 5 years, then there's a problem with the education then. So getting loan may be an opportunity for some people, but it is not the best because it makes you to have a whole lot of, to be in a lot of bondage by the time you finish school. Then the last option that we have is what? Apply to universities that offer scholarships to international students. So this is the one that we are looking at this afternoon or this evening, applying to universities that offer scholarships to international students. So let's look at scholarships that we have, or the sources of scholarship. We have the US government itself. They have a whole lot of scholarships available. Then we have a lot of, that's their public institutions, have a lot of scholarships available. But the challenge with this is that most of them are geared towards, what do you call it now? Masters. And we have a few of them that get towards, what do you call it now? Undergraduates. Because they want you to, because virtually everybody is going to undergraduate. They want people that will develop in a particular skill set. They are the people that they are willing to fund. So that is why they are interested in funding masters. But you also have public institutions that are interested in funding undergraduate, but the competition for them are very high. So the chances of us getting any of those, what do you call it now, funding is very low. Then we have the second one, private institutions. We have big companies. We have Google, we have Facebook, we have so many of these big companies that part of their corporate social responsibility, they are funding, what do you call it now? They are funding undergraduate education. But the other caveat is that you have to go for some few courses. They have some courses that they're interested in. So it's only when you apply to those courses that you have access to their funding. And the funding is not automatic, it's highly competitive. So the chances of you getting it also is very, very, very low as well, but it's possible. Then we now have the third one, which is universities and colleges. They also have their own scholarship programs. Virtually all colleges and universities in the US offer some form of scholarship or the other. In fact, a lot of them have their internal scholarships that you may not know until you go to their websites to go and read about their financial aid or scholarship that they have. So there are a lot of websites that you can check. You have the CAPEX, you have the FastWeb. Just make use of Google, you get some of these things. Some of them will be discussed, but you may have to do some work on your own as well. But remember, some of them are easily, you can see them on the net. Some of them, you'll have to go to the schools that you're interested in to go and check the scholarships available. And there are times the scholarships, they may be available in a particular year. They may not be available in another year. So you will need to keep checking their website to know the latest scholarships that they have. Some of them will be looking at. Okay. Now let's look at types of scholarships that we have. If you look at sources of scholarships, so the one we are interested in, or that I want to discuss this evening, is the one that the schools themselves offer, not the one from public or the one from private institutions. It's the one that the schools themselves offer. Okay, so we have what we call merit-based scholarship. And these are scholarships that are based on your academic excellence. For us to qualify for this, that means that you must have gotten high grade in terms of if you are coming from, especially from Nigeria, we are looking at, you check your transcript. Importantly, they are looking at your WAEC. You must have very high grade in WAEC. What I recommend, in my experience, and I'll tell us why, is that your student goal should be having 7 A's. These are things that will help qualify you for what do you call it now? Merit-based. Please, just 1 minute, please. Please, I will announce again. If you do not mute and you are disturbing us, we are going to remove you from this session, please. Okay, so we've talked about merit-based. So you must have very good grade in your WAEC. Then there's also what we call test scores. Most schools use what we call SAT or ACT. We'll look at it as we move on. And so in the SAT, you what do you call it now? You must score a particular minimum amount of grade score for you to be able to qualify. So we are looking at your high grade, we are looking at your test scores. There's also something that they look at for, which is your essays. So when you write essays, which we'll look at, your essays are probably, because when you check your transcript or your WAEC, they are strictly academic. When you check your SAT, or what SAT is like what you call JAM in Nigeria, when you look at your JAM or your SAT, is strictly academic. Then they want to check your ability to be creative on your own, to be able to, they want to see how innovative or how creative you are in your thinking, how critical and how logical you are when it comes to thinking, and how creative you are. So they are interested in your essay. So those three things are what they are interested in: your high grade, what do you call it now, in terms of your transcript or your WAEC. They are also looking at your test scores in your SAT scores, which we'll discuss. And some of them, not all of them, they are also now interested in what your essays, in terms of your ability to be able to compose creative essays for you to get scholarship. So those are the three things that they look at for. We call it merit-based scholarship. Then the second type of scholarship available is athletic co-curricular activity scholarships. So this one is for those that are into community service co-curricular activities, that maybe you have been in form of one leadership role or the other. Or for example, you have been involved in one NGO. So this is what we also recommend for our students, or recommend for parents to allow their students to be engaged in things that are outside academic environment. For example, maybe you have your academic, what do you call it now? Any NGO activity that your child is, as long as it's well documented. If your child is good in sports, like maybe chess, basketball, so all those sporting activities that are very competitive globally, if you have children that are good in it, those are great chances for you to get scholarship, which is under athletic and co-curricular activities scholarships. The third one is called need-based scholarship. That means that a student is applying to a school and is requesting for financial aid. So you see, the first one and the second one, you don't need to request. If they check your results and they discover that you have very high grade in your transcript, you have very high score in your what's the other one, in your test scores, and also in your essays, the school itself can give you the scholarship without you asking for anything. They give you so as they're giving you admission, they offer you admission with the scholarship. The same thing with your curricular activities. If they go through your documentation and they see that you have a lot of activities that you have been involved in that are outside school, that are international, that are highly competitive, they can give you scholarship without even you asking for it. But the third one is when you will now to request for financial aid. So in this case, you will need to demonstrate that you need the funding. So how do you do that? There are some funds that they will give you, which you will have to fill. In those forms, they will want to know what, like as the parents, they want to know how much you are making per year. So they want to know that, and how much are you willing to contribute to your child's school. For example, now, let's say the school fees is about $60,000, or let's say $50K in total. They could ask you, how much are you willing to contribute? So you say, fine, for my child's school, I'm willing to contribute $1,000. It may look crazy, but that's what you're willing to contribute, but that's what you can afford, $1,000 in a year. So that means that you are asking the school to provide you with $49,000. Sometimes you could say you are willing to provide $2,000. Sometimes, depending on how much you can afford, you can provide $5,000. So if the school fee is $50,000, in the form you filled as parents that we can provide $5,000, you have to show your tax receipt and all that to show that you have that fund available. Then the school should provide you with $45,000. So that's what you call need-based scholarship. So they want you to apply for those scholarships that you need the funding. Now, for schools, there are two types of schools when it comes to need-based scholarship. There are some schools that practice what you call need-aware scholarships, which means that before they give you admission, they will go and check where you said you need money. If you said you can provide $2,000 out of $50K, so you want the school to give you $48,000 every year. So the school will go and check that, fine, you need $48,000 every year. They go through your child's application result and everything. If your child qualifies, that means they put your child in the pool. your child has already qualified. But so they get all the children, all the students that are qualified into a pool with the amount that each of the students need to be able to come to that school. The school will not go through how much they have available for funding for that year. So based on the funding for that year, they will not be picking students from that pool. So which means that the school will accept you on the condition that they've gone through how much you need and they can afford to give you that scholarship. So that's what you call a need-aware admission. Then there are some schools that we call need-blind admission. That means when you're applying, you said 50K, the school is $50,000. And you say you're only able to provide $1,000. You want the school to provide you with $49,000. Now, the school will go through your child or all the students' applications. By the time they want to pick students, they are not picking students based on whether you ask for $49,000 or $30,000. They don't care how much you are asking for. What they are looking for is what? All the students that apply to our schools, which ones are the best answers that we want? So they are looking at your SAT score. They are looking at your, what do you call it again now, your transcript. And most importantly, in this type of school, they are looking at your essays. They want your child to write, why do you want to come to, let's say, Brown University? Why do you want to come to Brown University? They want to see how your child is able to express himself or herself on whether he has taken time to research about Brown University, he has taken time to research about the department that he's interested in, the professors that are in that department, the lecturers he will likely be meeting, the type of school. So they want to know whether your child is truly interested in that school. But that's one of the essays. There are some schools, they may ask for about 5 essays. Some may just be 1, some may be 2, some may ask for about 7 essays. In fact, there are cases of schools that ask for about 8 essays. So it's between 1 and 8 essays that a school will ask for. And they want to see your ability of your child to be able to think creatively and logically and critically and to compose words. Now, so if the school is interested in your child, they will pick your child before they even check whether he needs admission, he needs a scholarship or not. So if they pick your child and they now check $49,000 you need, they give your child $49,000. This one, you say you don't even have any money to contribute, you only have $500 or $100. You need $49,100. They give you because that's what you say you need. So for this type of school that we call need blind, they don't care how much you are looking for, how much you can pay. What they are interested in, whether your child has the best, how they put it now, they have the best, they have what they are looking for in the school. So once your child has it, it doesn't matter the school fees, your child will get it. I know a parent that the child has a scholarship of about $90,000. The school is about $90,000, and the school is willing to pay. The school also now gave the child a, what do you call it now, an offer that they want you to come to this school. We are willing to take care of all your expenses. They also now told the child that in case you have offer in any other school, let us know. They will match the offer. That is student. This is not work. They are not employing you. They want you to come to their school. And they are saying that in case you have another school that is giving you a better scholarship or better opportunity, let us know about that scholarship. We will match that offer. We want you to come to our school. And they are willing to pay every single thing. A Nigerian student, a Black, an African. So these are what you get in need blind. So you will see that we have need blind, which is probably one of the best. We have need based, which also means that it's also very good. But the challenge is that is whether the school can afford to pay or not. Then you know, for the need blind, the school has enough money to pay for everybody that they need, as long as you qualify. You, what do you call it now? You have you request for financial aid. Then one of the interesting about merit-based is that, remember merit-based, I told you that they will give us merit-based, or they will give this scholarship to the child based on merit, on the condition that the child has very high score in SAT or ACT, and also in WAEC. Now, the challenge with merit-based is that for you to keep renewing, they will give you just for 1 year, not for all the 4 years. To renew for the next year, it comes with a condition that you must get a particular GPA. So if you can achieve that GPA, you will get for the next year. If you achieve it again for that year, you will keep getting. So which means that the goal is that they are only looking for very, very bright students. And once they get them, they are the students that will also always make them proud. So these are the benefits, these are the type of scholarships available. So which one is the best? Well, I think it depends. It depends on the school that you are going, and it depends on what you are looking for. But all of them are readily available for us. But the most juicy out of all the scholarships is need blind. Because for need blind, even if you are not doing well academically, doing well does not mean that you are taking pass, as in you are not among the best, you are not the best students in the class. You are not in first class. That does not mean they will take away your scholarship. You will still keep getting scholarship. But for merit-based, the condition may be that you may be in first class throughout, or a GPA, but the GPA is over 4, you may be in a GPA of 3.5 and above. While for need blind, they may not put anything like that condition, but you must at least sensibly do well. So all of them are interesting, all of them are very good, and some are more juicy than the other, but all of them are readily available for us if we can find out how to get it. So some of the scholarships that we have, what do you call it now? We have what they call, that's the type of categories. We have partial scholarships. That is, in this case, a school is willing to pay part of your tuition. Sometimes, let's say a school that has about 40,000 school fees, like my friend I was talking about in Howard. Howard is $58,000. And the school, as they gave the daughter admission, they also gave him $20,000 scholarship. So, which means that they are paying $30,000 per year. And now, to them, it's actually merit-based because it was based on the performance of his child. That's how they're able to know, okay, this is what the child is entitled to. So automatically, the child gets that. So virtually all schools, so they give scholarship, whether it's merit-based or not, they will give you scholarship because they want you to work, to come to them. The merit-based can be as, sometimes it could be, partial scholarship could be as low as maybe $2,000. And it can be as high as maybe half or 50%, or sometimes 75% of the tuition. Then you have the second one, which is called full tuition scholarships. In full tuition scholarships, the school is willing to pay the total school fees, the school fees of the students, but the student will have to cover other costs. What are the other costs? Let me quickly take you back to where I discussed the other costs. Just look at the example here. This is Howard University. What is the tuition? The tuition is $35,000 with mandatory fee, $467. Let's say roughly, the tuition itself is $36,000. So if the school says the scholarship you are giving is what? Full tuition. That means that for the $36,000, you are not paying it. But you will still pay on your own. You will still pay for housing, you will pay for food, you will pay for book and supplies, you pay for all these other ones that are not part of tuition. So full tuition does not necessarily mean is a full scholarship, but it means that in terms of the school fees itself, the school will handle it while you pay the other ones. So that's another category of scholarship, full tuition scholarships. Then we have the last one that is called full ride or fully funded scholarships. I'm going to remove that person. I hope I can easily see that person. Let me see. Oh. Okay. I think I've removed that person. Okay. So like you said, we have full ride or fully funded scholarships. In this case, like the parent I was talking about, that's what their daughter got. They provide all the money that the child will need in school. That means they will provide, what do you call it now? The cost of school, that's the tuition itself. They will provide accommodation. They will provide feeding. The books that the child will buy, they will provide. Sometimes the laptop the child will use, the school will provide. Everything, all they want is just let the child come to school and learn. Everything your child needs, they will provide. And there are a whole lot of schools, and we have a lot of Nigerians that are also enjoying what they call full ride. So it's called full ride or fully funded scholarships. So our goal, as much as possible, is to target fully funded scholarships. And that's why some of us will be able to afford be able to go to very expensive schools, and we don't necessarily need to pay if we know what it takes to enjoy the fully funded scholarships. So fully funded scholarships can come from need blind, or what do you call it now, or need aware. Virtually, so it could come from any of this. It could also come from merit-based, depending on whether you're, so it could come from any of them, but the goal is for us to enjoy full ride of fully funded scholarships. Okay, so I've listed here for your own, you could take a screenshot if you want. These are schools that offer need blind. That means for any of these schools, for international students, you can apply. And if you apply, and during your, when you say you, whether you need financial aid or you need a need that you cannot afford to pay, this is what you are willing to pay, just $1,000 or $2,000. You want it, for example, Harvard is about $90,000. In Harvard, you say you can pay only $500. Harvard does not care whether you can pay 500 or you can pay 1,000 or whatever it is. What Harvard is looking for is whether you are the type of student and your child is the type of student they are looking for. So if your child is the type of student they are looking for, Harvard will take your child and whatever funding your child needs, they provide. Interesting, there are even some schools that provide, what do you call that thing now? Flight tickets for your child to come. So just anything for your child to come from Nigeria, they will provide not only school fees, they also, I think, okay, this person is not talking. Whoever it is that talking, we're going to meet this person. So they provide, so any of these schools will do that. And interestingly, we have schools, at least I know parents that have children in Brown University, in Dartmouth, in Georgetown, in MIT, and in Pomona. So these are some of the school benefits, and Swarthmore. These are some of the benefits that children will enjoy if they pick any of these schools. But remember, what is the chance of going to Harvard University? Let's go back again and see. So let's pick Harvard, and which other school is here? Brown University. Let's see what we have here. 48,900 people applied to Brown. Only 2,523 of them were accepted. So you will see that your chances of going to Brown is very low, but it's possible. The same thing with Harvard. Harvard is even lower. Harvard is 3.5%. So most of these schools that we have here, they are fully funded. I think all of them are even fully funded. I'm not sure, but I think all of them are fully funded. They are fully funded, but yet they, what do you call it now? And they are need blind. But to get there is very, very, very competitive. But it is possible. And these are things that we'll be looking at. How you can even get to any of these schools or any other schools that we are looking at. Okay, so we've looked at the list of schools that are need blind universities. We also have the type of schools that are also very important that we need to know. They call them HBCUs. These are historically Black colleges and universities. These are universities that are established by Americans in before that's during the what do you call it now? During the times when there's oppression of Blacks and all that in the US, and there's a whole lot of segregation and discrimination among the Blacks. So Black American millionaires start coming together to establish schools for their Black brothers and sisters. And why are they doing that? They want to make sure that because for you to get job in, how do you put it now, to get any of the good jobs, you need to be qualified. And chances of going to all those big schools are very low. And not even if they are not low, the schools are very expensive. So which is difficult for most Blacks to be able to afford. So they start coming together and start establishing schools for the purpose of Black Americans in the US. So those schools also major on STEM. STEM is what? Science, technology, economics, and mathematics. So this, what do you call it now? Engineering and mathematics, sorry. So this type, but these are where you have a lot of high-paying jobs and a whole lot of companies that are springing up. You have the Silicon Valley companies. So these schools prepare students to be able to take over or to take most of those jobs. So that's why the schools were established. So what are the benefits of historical Black colleges and universities? And they don't only offer those benefits to Black Americans, they also offer it to what? Africans or Black people or the Black race, wherever they could find them. They offer low tuition rates compared to the same quality of education, but lower tuition rates compared to all those big schools or all those schools that are not black schools. Then they increase the number of minorities in STEM fields, because what some of these black schools have done is to partner with those STEM companies, like those technology companies like Google, Amazon, what do you call it now? Google, Amazon, Facebook, all those Fortune 500 companies that are tech companies, both the ones that are already Fortune 500, those that are growing, they partner with such companies so that these companies can be taking their students for internship and for jobs when they finish. So that's why most of them, they focus majorly on STEM majors or STEM courses. That means science and technology courses, engineering courses, mathematics courses, because these are what most of these Silicon Valley companies are looking for. So this is what HBCUs help the students to prepare for. Okay, and one of the things that they want to achieve is to make sure they reduce the racial wealth gap. They want to make sure that a lot of Black Americans are also able to make money like their contemporaries. Okay, then they also have a lot of support, like I said, partner with a whole lot of companies. And they have a whole lot of scholarships that even if the school fees are low, but even if you cannot afford, they have a whole lot of scholarships available. So most of them require, that means for us to be able to qualify, for international students to be able to go to black colleges, which is part of the ones that we recommend a lot, most of them, they require what they call professional evaluation, which is you have your transcript, you finish in Nigerian school, you have your transcript and you have your WAEC. They need to be able to convert or analyze your WAEC, evaluate your WAEC to compare it with their own diploma or with their own college. So that they will know whether you qualify to enter or not. So what they do is that you will need to get professional bodies to evaluate your, which we'll look at as we move on, to evaluate your WAEC or your WASC or whatever result that you have, or GCE. GCE is also, it's not only Nigerian, it's an international as well. So either your GCE, your WAEC, or anyone that you have, they evaluate it for them to be able to know whether they can accept you or not. So one of the companies or one of the platforms that people use for evaluation is what you call WES, which you look at as we move on. So they need to evaluate a transcript if you're an international student. And there are about 101 historical black colleges and universities in the US. So let's look at some of them and the scholarship that they offer and scholarship that they offers. Now you will see, for example, remember those schools that we look at before in terms of admission acceptance rate, 5%, 3%, 6%. See a black school, 5,052 people applied. They gave offers to 80% of them. That's about 4,000 students. So the chances that you will get into a school in an HBCU is higher than getting into a school that is Ivy League or any of those other top schools. And yet you will likely get almost the same type of education and, interestingly, almost the same type of opportunity based on the things that we'll be looking at. Okay, so Dillard University had 80% of their students that they accepted. But remember, like I told you, because they accept you does not mean that you will eventually enroll. Because interestingly, US schools allow you to apply to a whole lot of schools and you get admission to all of them. Then you can now make up your mind which one that you want to go for. So eventually 414 students enrolled. And this is in terms of the year that we have now, that's the people that will graduate in 2028, that's what we have now. So that are coming into school by this year. So 80% of them we are accepted. For Fisk University, 81% of 4,000 applicants, that's about 3,200 students were admitted or accepted. 216 of them enrolled. Then we have Alabama State University. How many people did they accept? They admitted or accepted about 98% of all applications. That doesn't mean all of them will go, but the chances that you will get an offer from these schools is higher than any of those other schools that we have looked at before. Then you have Austin Tillerson University, 52%. Then you have Alcorn University, 30%. Then you have Philander Smith College, 20.5% out of 8,066 people that are applied. So you will see that what the goal of black colleges is to increase the acceptance rate. And that's why you see a lot of Black Americans, this is the school that they go. And a lot of what they call it now, even Africans as well, this is, or Nigerian, this is the school that they go to. They also, Howard is also one of them, even though we didn't put it, Howard University is also a Black school. So these are some of the things that we need to know, that for us to increase our chances, we might be looking at an HCBU. Okay, so we'll now look at strategy as we move on. We look at Ivy Leagues, we look at the top schools, we look at the full ride schools, all the full ride schools that we look at. Ivy League, we only have 8 Ivy League that we have. But here we have almost about 16, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 18 need-blind universities that we have. So not all of them are Ivy League. And I think there are some Ivy League that are here that are not in this list. But all these 18 schools, if they accept you, they give you all the money that you need to do them. But the chances are low. So we want our students to apply for these colleges, then also to apply for the ones that will increase your chances. Now, when you not get the admission, you cannot decide on the one to go based on the offers that you have. Now, because Fisk, for example, because Fisk gives you an offer, does not automatically mean, or a Black school give you an offer, or give your child an offer, does not mean that they will give you full scholarship. They have, like I said, from what you have there, they have a whole lot of scholarship opportunities. So for you to qualify or to take advantage of the ones that you will get all the full scholarship, that's the full ride, you will need to develop or to make sure you work on your transcripts, your WAEC, and your SAT scores. We'll look at it in details as we move on. Okay, so let's look at some HCBs, that's some Black schools. Howard University has what? Like I said, it's about $59,000. They have a scholarship called Presidential Scholarship. If you get the Presidential Scholarship, it covers everything plus $950 for the books that you will need to buy. Sometimes you may need to spend more than $950 in buying books because they don't know the books. It depends on your cost. But they have, apart from paying for every other thing, you will now have access to $950 for the books that you want to buy in the school. Not that they'll give you the cash, but every time you need a book, you can apply from your $950
to buy
your
book.
Phone? I think
I sent you a link. Join it now, please.
Okay, let's pity the person because I think he's trying to get somebody to join. Okay, but for you to qualify for this presidential scholarship in Howard University, so that you get there and you get full ride, you need to have an SAT score between 1,500 and 1,600. The highest possible in SAT is 1,600. So you will see that you will need to be a very, very bright student. So you need to have at least about 1,500 to qualify. My friend that the daughter got $20,000, this is one of the things that made her not qualify because she got about 1,004 something in SAT, 1,470 or 1,420. So that is why, but if you have 1,500 above, you will definitely get, what do you call it now? You will get the scholarship. Then number 2, you have ACT. So it's either SAT or ACT. We explain the difference as we move on. The most common one is SAT. So you only need to do one of the exams, which is SAT. So the equivalent of $1,500 to $1,600 in SAT is what you call 34 ACT of 34 to 36. So either you do ACT exam or SAT exam, this is what you qualify for. You have, what do you call it now? If you have 1,500 above, that is one of the conditions. The second condition is your GPA, 3.75 or higher. Remember, I told you that in Nigeria, you only start using GPA in university, but they need to analyze your WAEC and convert it to their GPA rating in the US or their own grading. So that is why they will need to use an institution like WES. Another one is ECE. These are the 2 popular ones that they use. So you will have to use ECE or WES to evaluate your WAEC. It is only if you have 3.75 over 4, 3.75 higher or higher over 4 that you are qualified. Like that's why I said in my own analysis, the goal of any of our children is to have at least 7 A's. if we have 7 A's and the remaining 2, maybe you did 9 subjects, 7 A's and the remaining is 2 B's, not CO, you have 2 B's, you will likely be getting 3.75. Even though I don't know that, but based on the people that have helped, people that have discussed with, people that have helped in the application, this is my analysis, that if you have at least 7 A's and 2 B's, you will have at least 3.7 or 3.75. So what if you did 9 subjects and you have 9 A's? That's a 4.2 over 4.0. So, which means that if there's any time to warn our kids, right, for us that have kids in SS3 now, that are about sitting for exam, if you need to beg them, if you need to make a covenant with them, if you have to promise them, if they have to stop everything about TV, about phone, and they can focus on their WAEC, and to ensure that they get 9 A's, or worst case, 7 A's out of 9 subjects, and the remainder are B, then their GPA is about 3.75. So the chances now, and they now prepare for SAT, which they'll prepare for later, but the most important thing that is within our control now is that our kids will do WAEC. So let's prep them, whatever we will do. If you have to get them extra lesson, whatever we will do, let's prepare them to get at least 7 A's. But these are some of the things that it will increase our chances of getting full scholarship in some of these universities. So you see, for Howard, you have an SAT of 5,500 to 1,600, and you have 3.75. Automatically, you are qualified for full scholarship from your year 1 to your what do you call it now? You finish school. Another HBU, Alcorn State University. Total fees is about $22,000, between $22,000 a year. Now, they have what you call Presidential Excellence or President Excellence Scholarship. That's $18,000 you get a year. And so that means if your school fees is about $20,000, $22,000, and the school is giving, this is the highest scholarship that they have, $18,000. That means what you'll likely be paying for is between $2,000 and $4,000 every year. But for you to qualify to enjoy this $18,000 scholarship, then you need to have an SAT of 1,300 or a ACT of 28. So from SAT, which is what I'm interested, I want to talk more about, is that you have 1,300 over 1,600. Then they also have another one called Provost Scholarship. So this one will give you $15,000 a year. The first one gives you $18,000 a year, but you can only qualify for one. You can't take two of them. So if you get a Provost Scholarship, you get $15,000. So that means that what the person will be paying for is about between $5,000 to $7,000 every year. But for you to qualify for this one, your SAT will be about 1,160 to 1,290 on the scale of 1,600. And you will have GPA of 3.0. That means they will appraise your, what do you call it now? Your WAEC, for you to have a 3.2 GPA, in my own estimation, because it's ECE, or they have evaluation institutions that do that. But in my own analysis, to get 3.2 GPA, that means your WAEC, you have at least 5 A's, and the remaining ones B. If you can have 5 A's, and then the remaining B, then you have above 3.2. So that means for you to go to Alcorn, once you have 5 A's and above, and you also have an SAT of 1,300 and above, you qualify for the highest scholarship available there. Only that your child, you yourself have to pay for the balance. Then we have another school called Alabama State University. Remember, Alabama State University has how many acceptance? 98% acceptance rate that they have. So, but for you to get their full scholarship, what does it need? You will need what? They call it academic scholarship, excellence scholarship. And you see how simple it is. Well, it's simple, but it's not that simple. You need to have at least about 1,160 and above in SAT, and your GPA of 3.51 and above. Again, to get the 3.5 GPA, you are looking at getting at least about six A's and the remaining one B's. So again, it goes back to what I tell you, that the best option is for you to get what? 7 A's and above. For your child to get 7 A's above. Because the challenge with this is that even though your child, for any of them, even though your child may qualify, it is not automatic. It's subject to availability of funds. Remember that, like I told you, the history of HCBUs, they are not, how do you put it now? They are not need blind. So it's based on the funds that they want all their brightest students to get full scholarship. You don't need to apply for it. So if you have, let's say you have 10 students that applied and they qualify, they have what? One of them have, some of them have 1,200 SAT and 3.52 GPA. And you have some of them that have 1,400 SAT and 3.8 GPA. So you can be sure that they will first of all consider the one that has 3.8 GPA and the one that has what you call it, plus 1,400 SAT before they consider the person that has 1,200 SAT and 3.5 SAT GPA. So the higher you have, then the greater your chances of getting these opportunities. Okay. Now, let's look at academic calendar, which is also very important. US academic calendar, they basically have 2 semesters, even though there are some that use 3 semesters, there are some universities that use 4 semesters, but generally there are 2 semesters, which is the first semester that starts in August, September, and the second one that starts in January. The one that starts August, September is called the first semester. Sometimes it's also called the autumn, and the one that starts in January is called the winter semester. Now, the interesting thing is that in US schools, they can take students in August. For example, now students, so virtually all the schools now, they've done their matriculation now. They've started new session now, this ending of August. They started already. Some will start in September. Now, the same school can still take in new students in January. So these are some of the flexibilities that US schools have. So you could come in August. You can also come in January. So for some of us that are considering that, you think maybe your student have some of them that they qualify now to apply. They can also apply now and get university offers and start school by January. But the challenge between the August semester and January semester, because most of the scholarships are given during August semester. Because virtually all the schools, that's when they are looking for the best stance that they can take. So even though schools can admit students in January, the chances of getting a scholarship is low in January. So what we advise parents is to prepare their students for the next academic session, which will start in August, not necessarily January. Even though if they are qualified for January, let them prepare for the one that's taking place in August, so that they can increase their chance of getting scholarship. Not that they can't get in January, but the chances are, because they've exhausted virtually all the scholarships that they have for this academic year. Because remember that the one that are starting in this August and the one that are starting in September is still the same 2024-2025 academic year. So because of that, they've exhausted most of their scholarships now. So the chances of getting scholarship in January will be low, or lower than getting it in August. So the goal is what? Go for the ones in August. There are some schools that also admit new students in June. So you see that basically most schools in August and in January. There are also some schools that will still accept in June, but very few schools do that. And they're also taking very few students. But the challenge is that most students for the students that are already in school, most of them, what they do during this period, that's when they used to do their, what do you call it now, to work. They're supposed to be on holiday that period. They're not supposed to be in school. They used it to work and do some other things apart from that. So only few schools will take people in summer intake during June. And they take out of sometimes the reason why they take students or they have academic session during that period is for those that didn't do well in the last session or last semester. So they use the opportunity to do, in the case what we call retake in our own Nigerian parlance. These are where they do the opportunity. You can retake those classes and also prepare for those exams during that period. That's what they do this period. But sometimes in some schools, they still accept students during that period. So our best bet is August or January sessions. So, and the best one for us is the August session or August semester. Okay, so let's now look at guidelines, the step-by-step you should take in getting undergraduate scholarship. So the first one is what you start early. So which means that even if your child is not in SS3, start now. You know exactly what you want. You are preparing your students to go for university in abroad, in US. Do you know why you need to start early? Remember, I told us that there are 3 types of academic scholarship that we can get. Before I continue, I want to be sure that you are following me. I want any of us, you're allowed to talk now. Can you tell me the 3 types of scholarship that we can get that we talked about.
We have merit-based scholarship.
Awesome. Merit-based scholarship. Yep.
Athletic or activities.
Athletic or co-curricular activities. Then the third one.
Need-based.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That means you guys are fully here. Now, because you are preparing your wards or your children for all of them, because you are not limiting to one, you are looking at all of them. The need for you to start early, especially when it comes to co-curricular activities. So we want our kids, even if they're in SS1, we want them to start engaging in other activities. For example, I have a friend their child plays chess a lot. I said they should keep encouraging her because these are one of the very good opportunities for her to get scholarship in playing chess. Or you have a child that is very good in basketball. Please don't stop the child from doing basketball. Just make sure that the child also focuses on academics, but let the child do very well in basketball. Because some schools are looking for basketball. Okay, just look at what happened recently in what do you call it now? In Olympics. Unfortunately, we have about 188 members that in our team, Nigerian team, but we could not get any single medal. But we now have countries like China, like US, that got a whole lot of medals. And now people, Nigerians is not afford anyway, because that's information that most of us have. We blame the government, that the government is not sponsoring or investing in sports and all that. To a great extent, that is true. And we also see a case, which I think I even wrote as for some of us that are following me or maybe in WhatsApp, that read my message, my post on WhatsApp, that I talked about it. We have students, we have some people that left Nigeria that went to the US, and they lost the opportunity in Olympic in Nigeria to the Olympic. They went to the US and they are winning gold for their country. Now, people are now complaining, are saying that Nigeria's the government is not sponsoring, but in a country like US, it is not strictly funded by the US government. We have private individuals sponsoring what they call sports. Then you have schools that invest heavily in sports. So because schools invest heavily in sports, they are looking for the best hands. So if you have a child that is very good in sports, encourage the child. Make sure that everything about the child is documented. Any award, let it be documented, let there be pictures, because those are some of the things that you will be using to position your child for scholarship in some of those schools. Because the schools will take the child because it's very good in one sport or the other. So any co-curricular activity, not necessarily sports, it could also be NGO. So I remember my daughter, one of the things that my daughter was doing when she was during the COVID period, before she eventually got admission, was that she had to join a school that it's one of the very few schools in Nigeria that are interested in taking care of children that have they call them spectrum above the spectrum children, or strictly what we call they have developmental challenges or autism and all that. So she volunteered to be going to that school in GRA. My wife or myself, we used to take her there virtually about 2 or 3 times a week. The school give her stipend, but the money we are spending is more than what the school is getting. But we are not interested in the money. We are interested in what? The documentation. And what do you call it now? The documentation and also recommendations from the school. So these are part of the things that she used. So these are the reasons why you need to start early. It's not going to be when they are finished work, you're not looking for something to do. Most of people that do that, they end up doing what you call cut and join, or they use Nigerian way. That means they didn't have any other curricular experience. They are just documenting it for the purpose of scholarship, which is not the best. There are some of your children today that are developing websites. Please encourage them. There are some of our students that have blogs. Encourage them. And one of the things that my daughter had then, she had the blog she was working on, and we encourage her a lot. We have some of our children that are into what they call a TikTok. Let them use TikTok for things that can, not necessarily educational things, but things that are positive, that are affecting, how do you put it now, that are affecting the people in a positive way. She could even be dancing, but not anything that is bad, anything that is positive. Encourage people, but as long as she's beginning to have a lot of followers, that gives you a good advantage. So anything that your children can do outside the academics that could also boost their career, let them start now. Then also we talk about transcript, because part of the things that you're going to submit is your transcript. That is your school transcript. What you did from year 1, that's GSS1 to SS3. So it's not going to be in SS3 that your child suddenly wakes up. So we are even preparing them from GSS1. And I remember my daughter, one of the challenges that we had, which was very funny because it's shame on me, but there's little I can do about it, that in our GSS, when she was in GSS, she used to have A in all subjects and P in one subject, pass. And I'm sure you can guess what the subject is, Yoruba. So that affected, there's nothing we could do because I'm not good at it. My wife is Igbo, so she couldn't help. So in fact, it's our neighbors that used to help our child when it comes to Yoruba. So immediately she got to SS1. We are so happy because she's not doing Yoruba again. But guess what? When it comes to our transcripts, that was a major issue. Because it was dragging down our transcripts. And I think the school, I don't even know what the school eventually did. I think they removed, I can't remember again. I think they removed maybe one of the years for her. I can't remember what they did for her to help her so that it can increase her, it can boost her transcript. Because the Yoruba in year 1, GS1, GS2, GS3 affected the transcript. Not because she failed, but she's just getting let my people go, which is a pass. So once some of us see pass in our child's results, for the purpose of we are preparing them for scholarship and schooling abroad, or in schooling in the US, not in any country anyway, but because we are preparing them for greater heights, let's, instead that they drop that subject, they can drop it. If they can't drop it, let's see what we can do to improve them in those subjects, because their transfer from GSS1 to SS3 is going to be very important for application. Then also we talk about WAHEC. So like I remember a lady called me sometime last year, and when I sent out this advert again, she sent me a result of one of their friends. And the child had 2 A's. I think what's remaining, maybe 2 A, 5 B's, and 2 or 3 C's. I said, the chances are low. And I told her, yeah, last year also, that I will advise you, don't be in a hurry to go to school. If possible, let her apply for the next WAEC immediately. Because for you to have 2 A's and B's and C's, you have already reduced your chance. By the time they analyze that result, maybe you have less than 3.0. In fact, maybe it's about 2 point something, if it's up to 2. So I said, let your child apply for WAEC immediately and get somebody to prepare that this result is good for Nigerian school law, but it's even good for university school. That is, if you are not looking for those highly competitive university and you have your money to pay, you will get school. For example, now all those black schools will take your child. If he has a GPA of 2.0, that means it has 2 A's, 5 C's, but you will not get any scholarship. So if you can afford to pay $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year, then they will take you. But if what we are looking for, which is what I help people to do, which I've been doing for the last 3-4 years, is that if you want scholarship, this result cannot give us scholarship. So since form is still on, I'll quickly go and get, how do you put it now? Get WAEC and let her apply for WAEC again. The goal is 7 A's. The worst case, 5 A's. That is when I know I can be confident that if I help you, your child will get scholarship. But anything about 2 A's, what you end up getting, and that's what most students do. What they will do, that they will now engage what do you call it, agents that will probably pay agents 2 million or 3 million. Sometimes it even gets about 5 million. They are paying agents now. The agents will help them do it. Eventually, agents will not give them one of those very, very low paying, what do you put it now? Low paying, actually, no, low school fees schools, like maybe $10,000 or $8,000. And also, remember, they paid about 3 million to 5 million naira to the agent. They will get them that school of about $8,000 per year in school fees. And the school will still give about maybe 40% or 50%, how do you put it now? Or maybe about 30% scholarship. So you will still pay about $5,000 yourself. So the parents will still have to look for their money, and they will think that the agents are doing anything. This, to me, is dumb. Why you will pay such amount, and yet you are not getting a very good school, an Ivy League. But that's what happens because they don't know what they need to do. So instead of paying an agent, go and say, I'm not saying you shouldn't pay an agent, because in the last 1 year, I've been collecting money. I don't do it for free anymore. And I have the reason why I'm doing that, because as God, when you do things for free, people don't value you. Are the one following them, but by the time they have your money with you, then they are the one following me up. So by the time you want to pay an agent, make sure you are paying an agent because you are going to get to a very good school. Not that you're going to get to school of 10,000 or 15,000 that you can get yourself. Okay, so if your child has 2 A's, I'm sorry, there's little we can do. Let the child go and start all over again. And it's just 1 year, which you call the gap year. Let the child use that one to develop his co-curricular or co-curricular activities. Let her engage in NGO activities and all that. And let her prepare heavily for WAEC so that she can get at least 5 years in WAEC. So start early. Number 2, have a great impressive transcript. We've talked about that as well. Number 3, perform excellently well at your WAEC or WASC. Your goal is what? 7 A's. So please impress it on your child. 7 A's, that's the goal. Number 4, enroll for SAT and do very well. Your goal should be to have at least 1,400 above, over 1,600. And I'll give you also why later on. Number 5, enlist for Common App. Common App is a platform. Okay, we'll look at it as we'll soon get there now. So enlist for Common App, just note it. Number 5 is enlist for Common App. Number 6, determine your prospective courses. Because obviously you will need to know what you are interested in. You can't just say you can do any course. If you're a science student, then you have to know what courses that you are best suited for. So you have to determine your course. Then once you determine the course, the next thing you want to do, number 7, is that you want to now start doing your research. You want to identify scholarships. I will talk about this number 7 in details as we move on. You want to identify schools that provide the courses that your child is interested in. Then you want to analyze and drill down into the schools. You want to understand what their SAT scores are, what is the 75th percentile. You want to get what is their GPA scores are, and make sure that your child has what it takes to go to those schools. Then these are part of the schools that you'll be applying for. Then you apply broadly. That means that you're going to apply for need-based, like I explained what are need-based. You apply to schools that are merit-based. You apply for black schools. You'll have to do all of them, because in US schools, you have the opportunity of applying to a whole lot of schools, and you can also get admission in all those schools. Remember, you will see adverts. So you will see breaking news that Nigerian students, she got about maybe all the Ivy Leagues, what do you call it now? That the child, all the Ivy League, how do they put it now? She got admission in all the Ivy League schools. Or you see a child that says, I child has scholarships worth $1 million. Because all these schools, they give her admission and they also give her scholarship. That's how the sum of my child, the child has about $1 million worth of scholarship. But eventually, the child will now pick the school that he wants, because you can't pick more than one school, and you can't take more than one scholarship available in those schools. So this is what, so you could do need-based, you apply for need-based, you apply for maybe, so you apply broadly. If you're going to be doing need-based, that means that you have to get your certificate, what do you call it, your tax returns in place. That's for those Nigerians. So if you have not been paying tax, this is another good reason for you to be paying tax to either Lagos State or to Nigerian government, and have your documentation, because you are going to do that. These are some of the things that will help our friends or our clients to do as well, to do their documentation, not to pay tax, to look at your tax and say, okay, fine, based on this tax you are paying, this is what we should be pushing for, because you will need those documentation for you to apply if you are doing need-based. Okay, then because you are also targeting black schools, which you have a greater chance of them accepting you. But the condition for those black schools is that they need to evaluate your your WAEC. So you will need to do your credential evaluation. That means you will need to evaluate your WAEC. That means you have to apply to those sites for them to evaluate your WAEC. So they will not translate your WAEC into how they put it now, into their GPA. For the other schools that are not black schools, and a lot of other schools, they don't need your WS assessment. They have their own way of internally assessing your WAEC, so they will still do the same thing. But for the black schools are not interested in doing those things. They said, fine, let's go and get it appraised in some institutions. They will send the result to us. Is the result that we look at for. So for some of us, if you are targeting those black schools, which increase your chances of admission, you have to do your credential evaluation. We look at it in that, we move on. You have to meet deadlines. It's not because remember that you're going to do a whole lot of essays, you do a lot of documentation. For those documents and everything, they have deadlines. You have to make sure you meet deadlines. So this is not the one that you'll be praying that they accept or they forget. No, because most of the deadlines are automated. for each of the schools, they have deadlines. They need documentation from you. They will tell you when is the deadline. Sometimes they extend it, but most times they don't extend. And because you are looking for scholarship, don't be thinking that they will extend any deadline. If they ask for a particular documentation, if they ask for a particular essay, if they ask for a particular application that you should do, make sure that for all of them, make sure that you meet those, in fact, you finish much more earlier before those deadlines. Make sure that you follow instructions carefully, because like I remember, and this is also very instructive. About 3 or 4 years, about 3 years ago, one of the somebody introduced somebody to me. My very close friend introduced a man to me for me to assist in application and everything. And I sent a pager to the man. I showed him the list of schools that, based on your WAEC results, these are the schools that your child will qualify for and will still get scholarship. But your SAT is not good enough. Your child will have to do SAT again. But for WAEC, your child has good, what do you call it now? Your child will qualify for these schools to get good scholarship. Now, so I gave him the name of the schools. I told him that he should go and tell the child to do SAT again. And I gave him all those things. I also gave him link to the scholarship opportunities of those schools. The man now replied me and said, I should help him to do it. I was so angry that day. So I saw that message. I should help him to do it. I didn't reply. After that, he kept sending messages. I didn't reply because he's an elderly man. I didn't want to insult him. And I just felt, I have given you virtually everything you need. Why do you still need me? So my close friend now called me and told me that the man said I was not willing to help him. I now forwarded everything I have sent to the man. I forwarded to this, my friend. I said, please go through all this. What else does he need? That if his child cannot read all these things and go online and go and do these things, the child is not free to go to school in US. It's that simple. It is not as if I'm insulting anything, because these are so simple. Somebody has already done this part for you. In abroad, nobody does it for any child. The child does it for himself. In fact, our kids did it themselves. We guide them, not that we guide them, but your child, because when you get in schools over there, it's not like Nigeria. It's not about you attend lectures. You attend lectures, you will do a whole lot of assignments. In fact, and probably every day you are doing assignments. Nobody's following up. You are going to submit online. That is deadline. If you don't submit, you have lost marks. So if simple instructions going on, you cannot do that, it's going to be very difficult for your child to get scholarship. So I said, that's the reason I can't help, because if I should help, I am not helping the child. I am not helping the man. And it's sure that the child is not fit. Then we also have the next one, which is what? Have a strong essay. In fact, for those schools that are need blind, that they don't care how much you need, they have what they call deep pockets, because they have a lot of billionaires that are finished from that school. So they have endowment fund, they have funding. In fact, some of those schools, for example, my daughter is going to an Ivy League school. Their school fees is about $90,000 per year, and she got full scholarship. So we are not paying. The only thing we pay is tax, and she even pays the tax herself, because even though the school is paying down, she has to pay tax, which is about maybe $8,000. She pays it herself. But my daughter got full scholarship. Our daughter got full scholarship. In her school, the school has so much money. They are looking for what to do with money. All manner of things, everything, apart from apart from giving a scholarship, they have almost about 10 different restaurants that our kids can go free. That means anything that you want. They just mean that let your child just be there to come and use his head or her head to come and study. Let the child not worry about any single thing. So some of these schools have what they call deep pockets. They have plenty of money. And that's why I keep wondering, how come we are not taking advantage of these opportunities? But the challenge to some of these schools is that they don't play with your essay. In fact, in our own experience, my daughter SAT was not that fantastic, because she didn't get up to 1,400 in SAT. She did very well in WAEC, but our SAT was less than 1,400. And in this school, you are seeing people getting 1,550, 1,570. That is what most of them are getting that are applying. But our essay is probably the best. In fact, some people read the essay, they said they've not seen an essay like this before, because what we did is that we made sure that we have people that are helping her. We have partners that which we have now built partnership with them. So they went through this essay, they reviewed it. And also she also looked for some of our friends or some of our seniors that are finished before in secondary school, that are in some of those schools. They reviewed the essay. And everybody keeps saying the same thing. They've not seen that this is probably one of the best essays they have read. And it was the essay, one of the essays that she wrote, that made the school to give her the full scholarship and admission. It's not because of her essay, it's not because of her work, because probably there's no anybody who read that essay. In fact, some people read the essay in American embassy here in Nigeria. They keep wondering whether she wrote it herself. So you cannot play with essay. Essay is not the one we did in school, the one they taught us in school, and not those ones. You need to understand how essay is done. That's why one of the things that we recommend that you will need guidance. Wherever you want to get it, probably you have to look for university lecturers in English or whatever it is. We have guides, people that we use globally that are in universities in US, and we have that's also part of what my wife and our colleagues do. So we have a whole lot of people that do that. Now, the challenge with the essay is that it is not enough for you to write. You need to do a whole lot of research. So your essay must be top notch. Okay, then you need to get a letter of recommendation. So you get it from your school. So you need to be a very good student in school before you get it from academic school. And because your school cannot be saying you did very well and your transcript is showing something else. So that's why we recommend that let our kids start doing well from now. Then what do you call it now? So they do well in academic, they get very good recommendation from their school. You also have to get from your counselor. You also get from maybe, like I said, extracurricular. Like my daughter, she got from the school that is for what do you call it now? What do you call the student? Autism and challenge, and those schools that are for the challenge schools or mental challenge schools and all that. So you will need to get those recommendations from all these places. So as your child is involved in any curricular activity, is doing excellently well, make sure that she's building relationship there, because she will be needing recommendation from those people. Whenever they're on holidays, let them go for what do you call it now? Let them go for how do you put it now? Volunteer job. Not necessarily, they don't need the money, but anyone they will go for, let it be something that will help them in the future, because you'll be needing a recommendation from those people. So you need to have a recommendation. So these are things that are very, very important for you to qualify for admission. Okay, so let's look at some of the ones that I said that I jumped. For example, now, SAT. What is SAT? SAT is like what we call JAM in Nigeria. So SAT is what you do, which virtually all the schools use to check whether you qualify or they can take you or not. SAT means Scholastic Assessment Test. It's a standardized test that's administered by an institute called College Board, and it's required to be taken by students that are seeking undergraduate admissions in US, not only just also in Canada, but we are interested in US now. Okay, so now basically SAT test basically two things. They want to check your reading, that's your written and verbal, and they also want to check your mathematical skills. So, and interestingly, okay, which I will talk about later on. Okay, so they check basically those two subjects, which is what? Reading and mathematics. There's also have what they call that SAT1, which is what we are interested in. We also have SAT2, which is subject focused. That means if you want to go for a particular course, you can only do those subjects that will help you to achieve that one. But for SAT1, that means you do your reading and your math skills, which means that you can apply for any course, which is the best, and that's what is recommended. So in fact, that's what you see that is being done in Nigeria, because that's what everybody is doing. Because so you have that that opportunity now to apply to any school for any course, because you have what? You have what they need, which is the SAT exam or SAT score, which is SAT1, which is general test. Okay, now what you need to know about SAT in Nigeria, because your child, in fact, they did one yesterday, August 24, yesterday, they did an SAT yesterday, and I'm sure one or two of our parents that are here in this class, their children attended did the SAT yesterday. Okay, so the next exam will be October. Then after October, we have December, we have November, we have December, we have those things on screen. You can take a screenshot. The fee is roughly about $121, and within 2 weeks, results should come out. Like I said, the highest score available in SAT is 1,600, and your goal like we said earlier on. Can somebody remind me what say your goal, your child should have? What's your goal?
1,000.
Who can remind us? Awesome. So your goal is 1,400, and I will explain why. We'll soon get there. So your goal should that your child should have 1,400. Your child can have less than that, yes, but we are looking at making sure that you want to do everything in your part so that you can become, in case, lucky. And even you are not praying to God, you know that you have done everything you can do on your part, then God can intervene also on your behalf. God does not necessarily need those things to intervene, but God wants you to use what you have, because whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. So give your best to have at least 1,400 in your SAT score. Okay, so what else do we need to know about SAT? Like I said, SAT maths is not like the regular maths that we are taught in, not the regular maths that we're taught in secondary school, not even, what's the other one? Further mathematics that we're taught in secondary school. Is mainly financial mathematics. And partly financial mathematics also includes economics. That's mathematics that you see in economics. So you cannot say because your child is getting A1 in mathematics in school, he will do very well in mathematics in SAT. No, you will need to prepare. So there are course materials available which you can get. You can get online. You can get the physical copies, physical questions. Let's get these materials. Let your child study and study and study. All of them have answers. So your goal, you can also do practice online. Your goal is that your child is doing excellently well. So prepare enough for your SAT. And there's one of my mentors that I followed online. He said, there's no way you will do something 1,000 times and you will not be excellent in that thing. So we are not saying that you should do the SAT exam, practice 1,000 times, but if you can do it almost about 10, 20, 30 times, that means your child will sit down and we have the book, SAT book, from start to finish, go through all the questions and do that about 10, 20 times. That your child is getting very good scores there, that you not get above 1,400. So it's that simple, because if your child is good, normally in WAEC, it should not have any problem. All your child needs is what? Preparation. So sometimes you might need to get a teacher, you might need to get, it is not a must. If your child has those materials and understand the materials and they can answer those questions or can practice, there are online videos, online sites that your child can check. But your goal is that let your child keep practicing until your child is getting about 1,550, about 1,600 in the test that he's doing. Then you can ask for the SAT. So your goal is 1,400, and if you get that, so now there's a company that registered for SAT in Nigeria, and it's called Jeva. So you can take a screenshot, you can check them out if you want. That's where you could register for your SAT there. Okay, this is how the result comes. So you will see now this particular one, this sample result, the person got 1,550 over 1,600, and it has basically two sections. Which is, what do you call it now? The reading, which is called evidence-based reading and writing score. And the child has what? 800 over 800. Then in math, the child has 750 over 800. So in total, that's 1,550 over 1,600. And in the analysis, which you have here, your child is doing what? Is among the 99%. That means that out of all the people that this sat, your child is among the 1% of the highest. So already, this one has already qualified that child to any of those, how do you call it now? Any of those need blind schools, or in fact, any of those schools, 1,550. But it is not enough, remember, and he has a very good result in WAEC. Already, the child is qualified for all the black schools. For the highest result in all the black schools, or the highest scholarship, full ride in all the black schools, your child is qualified. Then when it comes to all those need blind schools, all those Ivy League schools, you now need one more thing, which is your essay. So if you have a 1,550, you have a result of 7 A's, and you did your essay, there can be about 1 to 5 or 8 essays, like I said, there's no way you will not get admitted and get full scholarship from these schools. Okay, so this is how an SAT score looks like by the time they finish. Okay, like I said, there's also what you call American College Test, which is ACT. It's also like SAT. It's also used for the same thing, undergraduate admission. Only that this one is not as popular as SAT, but it's also done in Nigeria. So you will need to check. For example, now virtually all colleges will take SAT, but not all colleges, to the best of my understanding, takes ACT. So you have to be sure that so if you do ACT, you can be sure that all colleges will take it. But if you decide to do if you do SAT, all colleges will take it. But if you decide to do ACT, you may need to confirm whether the college that you are applying for is taking it or not. So what they normally give is that they will not give you SAT, SAT result and ACT equivalent. So anyone you get amongst two, any result that you have, you qualify, whether you do ACT or SAT. Okay, so this example of the equivalent. For example, now the highest that you can get in SAT is 1,600. The highest you can get in ACT is 36. So if you have a score of about maybe 1,470 in SAT, that's about 33 in ACT. So what you have is like a conversion between ACT and SAT. SAT is on the left and then ACT on the right. So if you have 1,000, that's 36. If you have 1,370, that's 30 ACT. If you have 1,320, that's 28 ACT. So anyone you do, you can always get the equivalent as long as the school will accept it. Okay, so I also talk about what we call common application. This is what we used to apply to most of the schools, about more than 900 colleges and universities in the US. We use Common App. So for those ones that give good scholarships, they will likely be on the Common App. So Common App is a platform that your child will register with. Is free, and this is where you put all your documentation. Remember, you talk of the transcript. This is where you submit it. You talk of your work result. This is where you submit it. You talk of all your essays for each of the schools, because you will check once you log on to your Common App. It has all the schools that are under it. You will see. So if you look for the school that you want to apply to, you will see the name of the school there. Then you will click on the school. It will give you all the requirements of the school. That's extra requirements. If they want the particular essay, you will see the essay they ask you to write. Then you will see the deadline for those essays. So each of the schools may have different requirements. So under the Common App, you can navigate and go to any school that you are interested in. And everything they're asking, you are submitting it. So every year, Common App goes live August 1. So Common App is already on now for the 25-26 session. So it's going to be on till now for those that will get admission in August and that will get admission in, what do you call it now? In August next year. Okay, so when is the Common App due? There are some typical questions. It depends on the school you're applying to. It depends on what type of application that you do. There's what you call ED, which I will explain. It means early decision. If it's early decision that you are applying for a particular school, you must have done all your documentation and submission between now and November 1. Remember, you are looking at what next year's school. You must have done everything between now and November 1, if it is early decision. If it is regular decision, you must have done all your documentation between now, since it's open now, and you have submitted everything they ask from you between now and January 1. You must have submitted as at latest December 31st. Okay, and also sometimes some schools have different deadlines, but this is typical deadlines for most schools. So now, there are different admission plans that we have with schools. There are 4 of them. There's what you call regular decision. That means this is where you apply to any school, and the school will take you if you qualify and you meet all their, what do you call it now, all the requirements that we talked about. If you meet those requirements, whether there's scholarship or not does not matter now, but the school will review and they will accept you if you do regular decision. That's if you meet all the qualifications you had, and you can all your documentation you have to submit between now and January 1 of the year that you're looking at. It is next year you want to try to resume, so which is open now. So between for August next year, for a regular decision, every school you have to look at for all the schools that you want now, and all that documentation, make that you submit everything between now and January 1, or preferably December 31st. Now, there's what you call early decision. There are some schools. Remember that for regular decision, you can apply to as many schools as you want. You can do 5 schools, you can do 10 schools, you can do 20 schools. The higher the schools that you do, the higher number of schools, the higher your chances. Only that for every time you apply for a school, it comes with some costs. Okay, so now for regular decision, you can apply to as many schools as possible. And the results, when they're ready, they will start giving you their, what do you call it now? if they accept you, you'll be when they release the what call it now, the list of people that they accept, you'll get the notification that you can go and check to see whether you accepted or not. Then you have what you call early decision. There are some schools that you cannot do early decision for. Actually, you can only do early decision for just one school. Early decision is that, for example, now let's say you pick 3 schools. You pick Harvard University. You pick Princeton University. You pick Yale University. These are 3 schools. Now, you can apply to all those 3 schools. You are doing regular decision. Now, you can now decide to pick Yale and say you are doing early decision with Yale. Early decision means that if Yale accepts you, remember I gave us the instance that schools, they can accept 3,000 people. That doesn't mean all the 3,000 people will enroll in the school. Because they accept you, you can decide to accept the offer, you can decide to reject it. So it's your choice if they accept you. So that's why you apply to about 20 schools. All the 20 schools can decide to take you. You will not choose the one that you want and now reject every other offer. So that is regular decision. But if you do early decision, it means if you apply to school, let's say you apply to Yale as early decision, it means that once Yale accepts you, you must accept Yale offer. That's what it means. Except, for example, now, let's say you need scholarship. They are the only condition. You do Yale, you said you want, how do you put it now? Full, what do you call it now? You want, Yale is, let's say, $80,000. You say you can only pay $2,000. So you want Yale to sponsor you with $70,000. And Yale is not, what do you call it now? Is not need blind. So Yale cannot take you based on, what do you call it now? They can, so eventually, let's say Yale now takes you, but Yale is not willing to give you your, they cannot provide you with the $70,000 that you're looking for. They say they can only give you $50,000 scholarship. So, which means that you need $70,000 scholarship. They give $50,000 scholarship. So, because Yale did not meet what you are asking for, that is the only condition you cannot say you will take Yale. But let's say you apply for Yale and you say you want $70,000 scholarship and Yale accepts you and gives you the $70,000 scholarship, you must go to Yale. That means every other ones that you apply for, that you're waiting for, whether they accept you, you have to withdraw your, what do you call it now, application. So, which means that if you are going to pick a school for early decision, you can only pick one school. Let it be a very, what do you call it now, most likely maybe a need blind school or a school that you are sure that you get all the scholarship. That is one. Number 2, make sure that it's a school that you have also analyzed the school very well. You discover that they have, in terms of, how do you put it now? WAEC, you qualify. In terms of their SAT, your SAT is high enough to qualify. So you know you have done your part very well. The only thing that you cannot determine is your essay, but you've also done your best in your essay. You make it their early decision. So which means that if they accept you, you are going to the school that you actually desire. And one of the beauties of early decision is that most of the scholarships that the school give, they usually give to the people that take early decision. And I think that is commonsensical because it means that you are telling them that above every other school, you have picked their school as number 1. And you are willing to go away and to reject any other school if they accept you. So the chances that you get scholarship with those schools are higher. But you have to make sure on your own that you actually done your homework and you are going to qualify for that school in terms of your SAT, in terms of your WAEC, in terms of your essay, then you pick it as ED. Then you have another admission plan they call early action. Early action, you can do more than one school for early action. Remember that if you do regular decision, 20 schools can accept you in regular decision. That does not mean you go to any of them. You can now decide on your own. Maybe you are waiting for the 24th school. So if 24th school now accept you, you will now reject every other one. But if one of them is an ED, it means that if a school gives you admission based on early decision, you don't wait for anything again. You must reject every other school and go to that school. Then you have the one called early action. Early action is non-binding, as in you can have 2 or 3 schools that you do as early action, you should do schools that you also have a greater chance of your scholarship. Remember, you can only do.
So that you check and be there.
Remember, you can also do you can only do one early decision. So early action is also the next step that you also prefer these schools. In case the decision does not take you, these are also the schools that are your preference. Now, what early decision means that if that school accepts you, you don't have to reject every other offer. You still have some time to be checking for other schools. You have till May 1 of next year. So let's say you pick schools now, you pick one ED as Yale, you pick about 5 schools or 4 schools as early action, and you now pick all the other ones as regular decision. Not all schools have early action anyway. It depends whether the school has it. So now, if, let's say, Yale did not take you, that's your early decision. But your early action, let's say it's Princeton. Princeton takes you for early action. Now, you are still waiting for Harvard. You are still waiting for Dartmouth. You are still waiting for MIT. Those ones are waiting for the results. But if the result has not come till April 30, if you have not accepted the early action and you have not rejected it as an April 30, by May 1st, if you have not rejected it, you must go to that early action school. So make sure that anyone used for AD or E are the ones that you are so sure that you have a high chance of getting and they are very good for you. Then lastly, we have what you call rolling admission. I think somebody is disturbing us again. Okay. So we have what you call it now, rolling admission. There are some schools that you don't need to wait for a particular time. They take admission every year, any time of the year. So you can apply anytime you qualify. Once the admission is open, they take you. So they don't have a particular time you must apply or a particular time. No, you can apply at any point in time. Example, I know one of the schools is what Fisk University, Black School. You can apply any time of the year. There's not like deadline. So if you apply, they will prepare you for the next one. If you qualify, they accept you. So some schools do rolling admission. So that means that so what do you do? So rolling admission schools are schools that after you have done all of them and you didn't get any good deal, you can call it for rolling admission schools and also apply. So we have listed it in, so the first ones that you look for, the ones that are early decision, you pick one school, then you pick other schools for early action, then you also now pick regular decision, then if possible, you pick rolling admission, but it's not a must that you pick all of them anyway. Okay, so why students should consider early action or early decision? Because, like I said, the chances of getting scholarship in early decision is high than if you pick, because regular decision is like what? An afterthought. For example, now you want to pick Harvard, you now pick Harvard as regular. I'm not sure Harvard that we even accept as regular decision. Harvard is either you pick them as early decision or early action. Harvard will not accept that you pick them as regular decision. So if you pick a big school, an Ivy League, and you pick them as regular decision, the chances are, because you have made them as an afterthought, they also will treat you as an afterthought. Not that they cannot give you admission anyway, because obviously you can't make everyone to be early decision. But let it be that your high priority schools are that your early decision and early action. Why? Because you have greater chance of being accepted in early decision or early action than when it's what? Regular decision. For example, Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League school, all the people that applied as early decision, they took 17% of them. Then all the overall, only 5.3% of students were taken, like I told you earlier on, for class of 2028. But the majority of them are taken during the early decision stage. So you increase your chance of admission and scholarship if you pick schools that you know you have high chance of getting in and you not pick them as early decision. And these are some of the things that you enjoy. Okay, so what are the common application essays? There are so many essays. There's no particular one. One of them is what? Tell us why you chose a particular school. So it could be, one essay could be why Harvard. So you have to tell them why you chose Harvard. And that means you must have done a whole lot of research, not only about Harvard, you'd have done research about the department you are going, you'd have done research about the course you are doing, you'd have done research about all the opportunities available in that school to show that you are truly interested. In fact, you need to have made sure that you are even following them on Twitter, you are following them on Instagram, and you know the latest thing that's happening in that school. Because these are the things that you have to be putting in your essay to show why you want to go to that school. So some of them also, they ask a whole lot of questions. They could give you a scenario and say, okay, give us, okay, like the worst day in your life. Talk about it. Or so many essays your goal is that make sure that you give your best to this essay. Get experts that will guide you in writing your essays, because that's one of the most important things. Even after you have done your academic excellence, you need to boost your essays. Okay, so some colleges may also ask you to answer a few supplemental questions apart from essays. Okay, how much is the Common App to register? It's free. So it's free for you to log in, it's free for you to register, it's free for you to upload all your documentations there. But by the time you need to start applying to each school, sending your documentation to each of the schools, it comes with an amount between $30 to $75 per school. That is why you need to limit it. You cannot do all the schools unless you have all the money to apply to all the schools, because it costs money. But interestingly, especially for international students, you can get a waiver. They could give you a waiver of about maybe $200. So which means if each school is about, let's assume that for the purpose of our discussion, each school is $30. That means if you get $200 waiver, that's about what? You can do about 6 or 7 schools. So probably you will pay about $10 on your own. So that means you have access to 7 schools to apply. Or sometimes you could get maybe a waiver of $500. So because these schools will still be paid, but they now have a waiver which you will not be the one paying for the fund. So, but for each of the schools, then also you can also go to those schools themselves and apply for waiver. So these are some of the things that we Nigerian students or we tell people to do, because it's there. These are some of the scholarships that schools are providing. So there's nothing in that. If it's there, then take advantage of it. So you go to those schools, check whether they have a waiver. Common App itself, they have waiver. Apply for Common App waiver. They give you a lot of vouchers that you can use, but it may not cover all schools. Then go to those schools themselves, go and apply for waiver. So that you first of all use the waiver for those schools to apply to them. Then the schools that don't have waiver, you can now use the one Common App give you to apply. Okay, so that is I need to. Okay, I think that's so. That's also what you can do in your Common App application. So you get waiver. So with waiver, you can now use to apply to those. So you don't need to actually pay your own money. So how do you apply to Common App colleges? To colleges under Common App, you create the Common App account. You confirm which of the schools that you have identified. And I'll tell you what to do in case I forget. During the customer you ask me, how do you identify the schools that you want to go for? Okay, so you confirm which of the schools on your list that you want to accept. So you now look out there for them in Common App. You will now check each of the schools, look for the admission information of each of those schools so that you know what exactly they're asking for. So gather everything they need and start doing your documentation and your upload of your documents as well. Document and upload of documents. Then you start working on your application. So you have a dashboard. On the dashboard, it will show all the colleges that you're applying. So you can be picking each of the colleges and be checking their. So you don't need to, you are doing them independently of one another. So for each of the colleges, let's say you're applying to about 20 colleges or 20 schools. So each of the schools, it has their own name. You click on them, you see what you have done so far, what you have not done. So you can also track the status of what you have done in each school. You will see the one that is green, that means you have completed. You will see the one that are yellow, that means you are still pending things that you have not done. The one that is red, that means that this particular one you've never submitted or you've not started this part. So you can be checking for each of the schools and also come up so that you will not be checking to each of them. You also see the deadline for each of those schools. So you do all that until you are able to apply and submit all your application for each of those schools. Then you are through with a Common App. Then the next thing that you are now waiting for you to, how do you put it now? You are now waiting for, even your SAT scores, you upload it. You're also part of what you're going to be sending to those schools that you apply for. So all those things, it's Common App. There are only cases when you are applying for scholarship, because Common App is to apply for admission. For when it comes to scholarship, each of those schools that have scholarship that you are interested in, as you open them on Common App, you also see a link from each of those schools that leads you to the form you have to fill that you will download and fill to apply for financial aid or scholarship. Remember that if it's either need-based or need-blind, you apply, you will tell them what you can pay and all that. So you will submit the documentation with your child will submit the documentation along with their, how do you put it now, with your tax clearance certificate and all that, so that's what they will use to review when they want to accept your child. Okay, so basically that's that about Common App. Now, interestingly, remember we talk about HCBUs. Those are the historical Black colleges and universities. Now, for the HBCUs, most of them are not on Common App. Some of them, there's another platform that use just like Common App. Remember that their goal is to help Blacks. So they also have an app or a platform where you could also apply. You can also apply to those schools directly. But how do you know? When you check each of the schools, you will know whether you could do it through the common app. You will see if it's not the common app. You also check whether you can do it directly with the school. Or you say so. So basically, this is basically how you check those schools. Now, sorry, I need to.
I don't know where it's paying from. I'm trying to find where it is.
I need to block. Okay, I need to mute somebody. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, like I said, so we finished with the common app, which is for most of the schools. For Black schools, some of them are not common app, so you may have to use another platform to apply to them, or you apply to them directly. And like I said, the Black schools require assessment of almost all the Black schools require the assessment of your WAEC results. For all the schools on Common App, they don't need WES. Why? Because on the Common App, you submit your WAEC result, you submit your, what's the other one? Your transcript that your school will provide. So they have the way of analyzing it themselves. But the Black schools don't analyze it themselves. They said apply through a particular platform. They will analyze it for you, and they will send your results to them. So we call those platforms, we call it NAECS. That's National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. It's been established in 1987. So this is basically what the Black schools use for you to evaluate your results. Now, there are so many of them. You can read about them. We have so many of them. So you can use any of them. But the most popular one, or the most common one that is used by Nigerians in Nigeria, and which we recommend a lot, is the last one, World Education Services, WS, and the one we call number 3, which is Educational Credential Evaluators, ECE. Those are the two that are very common. And ECE is a bit cheaper than WS, but WS is a bit more effective. But you can use any of them. There's no one, two of them will do the same thing. So you need to check. So any of them, as long as this is what the schools will use any of this, that's what the schools say. These are the ones that have been approved by US government to appraise or to evaluate transcripts. You use it for, what do you call it now? You can use it for, also Canada also uses it. So you can use it for either university, undergraduate, or for masters. If it's masters, they'll be appraising your, what do you call it now? Your result in university. That's your transcript and your result. You're going to submit all of them, which they're going to appraise. If it is for undergraduate, what they just need is your WAEC. So you can use ECE, you can use WES, World Education Services. So let's see how what educational services look like. You log on, you put your documentation, everything, you'll be following the prompt. Now, I just quickly did a sample 2 days ago for you to have an idea of how much it will cost. Now, for you to do the evaluation itself, it's about $160 for you to do the evaluation itself. Now, when you do the evaluation, they will send the evaluation to you. Then there are different types of delivery. I put standard about $24. It could be sometimes it could be up to about $100 if you want it to be, you want it very fast. Now, why do you need that evaluation? Because you want to have a copy of the evaluation yourself. But it's not a must you have the copy, because you can check it online. You have the copy, they send it to you. So now, if you do it when you evaluate it, they evaluate for about $160, then you can now send to the schools that you want. Sending to each of the schools costs money. I think it's about $33 that you used to send to each of the schools. So, but what I did yesterday or 2 days ago is that I did the sample. I want to send to a particular school, one school. I want it to be a standard delivery to send to me as well. So in total about $217. So you see that this is a bit expensive. So if you are going to be picking any Black school, you've already done the assessment. You know this one, you qualify. So if you qualify, they will take you. So what do? Do it on time. Do it very fast. And make sure that you are investing this money now so that you can quickly get assessed and they can review your application. Okay, so you use WS. Now, this example, just see why I keep stressing that our children must have, what do you call it now? Must have at least 5 A's. There may be 2 B's. Look at this result here. How many A's do we have here? So this child has how many A's?
3 A's.
He has 3 A's. And he has how many B's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 B's. Yeah. 3 A's, 5 B's, and 1 C. Now, when this was evaluated, it gave this child 3.33. So this is how an evaluation will come. They will send to you the results. They will also send to the school that you want them to send to. So now, if the highest result, the highest qualification in that school that will make you to get full scholarship and you're not paying any single dollar is you must get a GPA of 3.5 and above. It means that this child will not qualify. But luckily for this girl, the school she applied for, the highest scholarship in that school is 3.0 that you must have. So, and she has very good results in SAT. So with that, she got their presidential scholarship. And even though it didn't cover everything, but it covered about maybe almost about 90%, out of about $40,000. She got about out of about $35,000. She got about out of about 35,000, she got almost about $30,000 that she got. So it covered almost everything. So the parents, the first year, they only had to squeeze to pay about $5,000. And the school was even so magnanimous that they allowed them to pay in installments. So you don't need to pay the $5,000 at once. So you pay the $5,000, they allowed the parents to pay through the year, the $5,000. I remember that from that, the child also is doing some work and also doing some savings. So as from the next year, the child was not even asking our parents to pay anything again. From second year, the child is paying the $5,000 herself. Why? Because she qualified for the scholarship and she only paid $5,000 and she got an internship job. So these are some of the benefits that we get. That's why we emphasize. Let your child, the goal should be what, 7 A's. The worst case scenario, 5 A's. Not because you will not get scholarship if you get lower than that, but you want to be sure that anyhow they want to analyze it, you are top notch and you are highly qualified for not 1, not 2, not 3, but scholarship in so many places. Okay, so again, guidelines which we have talked about. There's a part that I jumped that I want to talk about now, which is number 6. You determine your perspective. We talk about start early, have a great, impressive, perform excellently, a role is SAT, we have explained, and look for common up. We have talked about that. Determine your prospective courses. Now, once you have decided on the course that you want for, so let's say you want to do, how do you put it now, aeronautic engineering, you want to do industrial engineering, chemistry, you want to do financial mathematics. So these are 3 different courses that you are interested in. So the next thing you will do is that you do your research. You identify all the schools. That's just one way. This is where the brain work starts. Remember, you have done your WAEC, you've gotten good degree, you've done everything, you've done your analysis with what do you call it now, with ECE. So you have an idea. So ECE is not a must that when you do, or ECE or WES, that is, you've done your evaluation of your WAEC. It's not a must that by the time you do evaluation, they must send to any school. You want to do evaluation so you have an idea of what your own grade is. But like I said, even if you don't do the evaluation, already you know that if you have 7 A's, already you are above 3.5. In fact, you're about 3.7. So if you have about 5 A's, you are above 3, you're about 3.5. So you already know that already. So even if you don't do evaluation immediately, you know that if you have 7 A's, already I have more than 3.5. In fact, I'm about 3.7. I already know that. So, and I've also done my SAT. In my SAT, I have done my SAT, or my goal is that you have about 1,400. So what do? I have three courses I'm looking for. I check all the schools that offer those courses. Then the next thing is, out of all the schools that offer those scholarship, that offer those courses, I want to look for all the schools that are doing what? Okay, I think okay, so the first one is what? All the schools that offer the scholarship. Second one, all the schools not scholarship, all the schools that offer the courses. The second thing is, out of all the ones that offer these courses, how many of them are offering full scholarship? That's our goal for now. So out of, let's say you have about 50 schools or 60 schools that are doing the courses that you want, then you identified 15 of them that are giving full scholarships. That's your goal. So out of these 15 schools, the next thing you will now do is you will now check each of the schools. Google is your friend there. There's no big deal about this. You will check for each of the schools what the people that applied and the people that they are taking, what is the percentile, what do you call it now? What is the range of their SAT scores? So you have what you call, please just give me 1 minute. I want to get my writing material here. So just 1 minute, please. So that I can write out some things about what. Okay. So can we see the screen?
Yeah.
Can we see the screen?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes.
Okay, now, so let's say you have 50 schools, or no, let's say about 40 schools. You have 40 schools that are offering the courses that you want. So you have to check these schools one by one. Some of them, you have the list, there are links that you can check to see the school that are offering that. You want to say, how many of these schools are offering full scholarship? That's your goal, full scholarship or full rights. Okay, so let's say out of these schools, about 15 of them are offering it, or let's even say 20 are offering full scholarship or almost full scholarships. Maybe you only have about $3,000, $4,000 to pay. Okay, so let's say you have identified the 20 schools. The next thing you want to check is application. You want to check what is the SAT scores of people that are applying for these schools. How do you know? Google is your friend. So Google will give you the 25th percentile. It will give you the 50th percentile and give you 75th percentile. This is basic statistics. We are saying out of, if 100 people apply to this school, so let's say 1,000 people apply to this school, to school A, right? And all of them have results in the SAT. All of them did SAT to apply to that school. Now, you want to check the highest 25% of result that they have. That is the 75th percentile. So you want to see, because percentile is what? Cumulative percentage, or the cumulative percentage of all the results. So you want to check who are the top 25 in terms of results. What is the top 25% of students getting in their SAT for this school? So you get it. You can also get the 25%. You are not necessarily the bottom one. You're the 25%. So if you check now, if school A, the 75th percentile of their SAT is 1,420. Let's say 25th percentile is about, what do you call it now? 1,210. It means the lowest 25% people in this school that apply to school, they got less than 1,210. The highest 25% that apply to this school, they got 1,420 above. What we recommend is that your goal is you want to be among the 25% of the highest in that school. So you will check for each of those schools, you will check your, how do you put it now? The percentile. So anyone, so if this school is 1,420, that's what the top 25% of people, that's 75 percentile. And school B has 1,350. School C has 1,390. School D has 1,400. And school E has 1,250. Okay, so you have all this. And your own result in SAT, you got 1,000, you got 1,370. In fact, let me just put it the exact way you will likely see it. Your result, your own result is 1,370. This is what you got, 1,370. This is your SAT. School A, the lowest 25% of students, they got 1,000. 190. The highest 25% of students, they got 1,450 and above. School B, the lowest got 1,000, sorry. The lowest got 1,000, and the top, not the highest, so the top 25% people, they got 1,310 and above. For school C, 1,100 to 1,410. School C, 1,200 to 1,570. Then school E, 1,150 to 1,370. No, 360. Then school F, 1,080 to 1,350. So in this case, we are saying that the top 25% of students, they got 1,450 above, yeah? Above, and above, and above. But you got 1,370. So which school do you think you are qualified for, ideally, all things being equal?
School E, school F.
Okay, so we are qualified for B. We are qualified for E.
E
And we are qualified for F.
and F.
Now, ideally, the truth is that you will be qualified for all of them. That's the truth, because you still have some people that got 1,190 in school A, but they will not be accepted at the end of the day. But these are the type of people that are applying there. But that's the above 25% of people. That's 75% of the students. They got more than 1,190. That's what it means. And so you're among the top 25% of people. Yeah, 75% of people. But even though you may have chances in any of them, the one that you have very high chance of getting into is B, E, and C. Do you understand? So if you have to pick one school as your early decision, it must come from any of those schools. So that's your goal, because you are avoiding that these are the schools that you know that the top 25% of people, you are among them. So you're going to pick, so you can use B, D, E, or F. So any of them, because you are among the top 25% of people, then that's increase your chance. So you cannot decide out of them. You can say, okay, let me go to increase my chance, let me go for B. But at that point, because you qualify for the three of them, you can go for any of them. So that becomes your early decision. Then you now have the early action. You can use the remaining as early action. Then for the other ones like this, even though you know you are interested in this school, so this school, you will not use ED on this type of school. You cannot use RD. That is if you don't have any other one that you are applying for again. So first of all, your goal is to apply to those ones that you know that if they want to go by academics alone, you are among the top, the 25% of people that they consider. Then also you have your WAEC as well. So these are basic things that we do. So you cannot imagine somebody, it's not, yes, you can pray. Prayer can work sometimes, but sometimes you need to do your part first. Do the information. Then you cannot say, okay, fine, I still want to try my luck, but don't just act blindly and say, my desire is to go for an Ivy League. It's not, there's no big deal going for an Ivy League, but the bottom line is that, have you done the work that will qualify for Ivy League? So these are the things that you'll be checking. Now, let's see what we have here. These are some of the schools that we have. You can take a screenshot of them. You can also check it online. You have Harvard. See the people applying to Harvard. The lowest, the 25 percentile is 1,460. So, which means that student that got our own student that got 1,370 is not even qualified, is not even among the the person is not among the 75% of applicants to Harvard. So what does that mean? You have already reduced your chance. Miracles do happen anyway, but Harvard should not be among your first consideration. This is common sense because you got 1,370. 25th percentile, that's so the 75% of students, they got more than 1,460. Harvard should not be, and look at the acceptance rate of Harvard. They only took 5% of students. So why would you want to risk your chance for that? So what do I do? So if I know my goal is Harvard, and I got 1,320, and I still want Harvard, what do I do? I still have another month. If I've done August and I didn't make it, let me do my SAT again. And my goal is I want to have 1,500. In fact, I want to have 1,580. That's my goal because these are the type of people that you're seeing in Harvard. Okay, so now you could check on now. So let's say you have 1,370. Which school will you likely be looking at? These are where you're looking at now. Okay, these are schools. So we go to here now. These are schools that you are likely looking at. From Syracuse, these are the schools that you're looking at in this result that we have here. So now that you have known these schools, the next thing is, how many of them are giving you full scholarship? You now start checking the school. So that means you have to start checking each of the schools. Which are you getting full scholarship? Because what you did is 1,370. So you know that all the schools, you are above the, what do you call it now? They are, what do you call it now? They are 75th percentile. So check each of these schools, what scholarship that. Some of them may not have full scholarship, but they may have what do you call it now? Very high scholarship that probably what will be paid about 5,000 or 6,000, which is not bad. Because if you pay 5,000, they cannot allow you to spend that 5,000. And interestingly, as from year 2, your child should be able to start paying that money itself because there are opportunities to work, which I'm going to look at as we move on. So for you, so that will not be your this. So even if you don't get full right, which is our goal, you also know that most of these schools you would likely get scholarship from them. That is, you will get probably the highest presidential scholarship just because of what you call it, you are among the top 25%. So these are things that you own work that you do on your own as a student and as a parent for you to get this done. Okay, so let's quickly look at the last part. So what if you don't get full scholarship? Like we said, for most schools, you will still get scholarship. You know that the scholarship may not just be fantastic. So what you do is like, so in summary, before I even go about this, so in summary, what do you look at for? So the first thing is that what? You focus on your WAEC, your transcript, and once that one, so like I remember a parent, I talked with a parent in about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The child wants to do SAT, and the child is still also, she decided just in SS3 and preparing for, what do you call it now? WAEC. I said, forget about SAT for now. You don't need SAT because it will distract your child. Because what your child needs, that SAT can be done anytime because there are several SATs that you do in a year. But let your child focus on WAEC. Beg your child, no more TV, no more video game. In fact, beg him, negotiate with him, collect all those things and seize them or keep them. Let the child just focus on his academics. And also, if there's any extracurricular that's happening in school, let the child be involved. Forget about that for now. Your goal is that you have 9 A's. Worst case scenario, 7 A's. So that should be what you start. So that's what you do. Then after that, you can start doing your SAT. So don't be in a hurry to do SAT. So that by the time you want to do SAT, you know that's the only thing that your child is focusing on. Okay, so now we've talked about all those. So once you have done all those things, like we said, your goal is that you look for the full school that give full right based on this what we have shown us. The second thing that you now go to the black schools. We're giving you all the list of black schools. You take them, you check all the classes that they have. Like I gave you some of them. You now check. Now you know all that they have. You will now know the one that you will apply to, the one that you will send your evaluation to, because evaluation costs money. The initial evaluation will cost about maybe about $200, but every school you are sending is about $35. So you are investing money in that also to send the evaluation, but you know you're only sending to schools that you know you already have a very high chance of getting their presidential scholarship or the next scholarship that they have. So if you have done all that, you don't get the full scholarship that you need, but you still get some scholarship, depending on the cost, school fees of your school, you get up to about 5%, 5,000 to 10,000, depending on school fees. So it that depends. Is it enough for what you need? Do you think it's something that you can comfortably pay? If it's too high, to be on the safe side, so that you don't put, except you have that funds or you have that people that you can do that, you could just wait for the what? The next session and prepare very well for the next session. Now you have all the details. But if you think it's what you can afford, if the school fees especially not more than $10,000, we'll still advise, say 10,000 about 60 million. Yeah, it's high, but we still advise that you let your child go, because you know that that is the investment that you're going to do for the first 1 year. And your child, since he knows where it's coming from, is looking for every single opportunity. So your child will be encouraged to do part-time work. That's how you have number of hours that you can do, so that it not put pressure on you and your academics. Because your goal is, in fact, one of the most important reasons why I advocate for scholarship. Okay, I will tell us this. Please, somebody should just remind me why I advocate for scholarship after, so I don't break my flow of thought. Now, let your child do part-time in school. So that's also what your child can do. Then third one is what? Let your child have excellent academic performance, because those are the things that will help your child to get very good internship, and look for high-paying internship programs. So these are the things that child start looking for. In fact, for some of those schools, the companies will come and looking for them, especially some of the black schools, interestingly, because they have partnership with those companies. The companies will come and look for excellent academic performance students, and they will take them for internship. But for some schools, you'll have to strategically get them yourself. So these are the things that you will guide your children to be able to do, so that they can, how they put it down, they can still go, even if it's $10,000, and they will sort it out within 1 year. By second year, they've started getting internship, and they can pay for their school fees. And you as a parent can start relaxing and enjoying. Okay, so any question? After hand up.
You said we should remind you on why we need to go for scholarship.
Okay, fine. So quickly, let me answer that one. See, like I told you, it's not enough for your child to go for school in university. Sorry, a university in US. The goal is, some people finish in a US school and they make about, in a year, they're making about $40,000 a year. This is fantastic, right? And the funny thing is that I won't lie, you can check the data yourself. 70% of graduates, this is between 40 and 60,000 they are making. So now you will say 40,000 or 60,000 is exciting, right? How much is this in Nigerian money? Let's say 50K. 50K is how much in Nigeria? That's about 80 million naira a year. Your child is a big boy. Anyway, some of us parents have never earned this in our life in a year, and our child just finished secondary university and is earning this. That's fantastic. We will not like, but out of this 80 million, government will take about how much? Maybe about 20 million. So your child has about maybe 25%. So it's about maybe 60 million your child will have, which is about 25% of 50K. That's about 37,500 or so. Or yeah. Or how much is that? 25% of let's calculate that. If you know it, please tell us. So 5% of your 50K, 0.75 times 50. So your child is earning $37,000 and $500 per year. That is still a big boy money in Nigerian terms. But the truth is that as the money is, that's also how expensive living condition is there. So that 7,500 looks fantastic. And the truth is that most of us that have family members there, uncles, aunties, most of them are not even earning up to this. That's just the truth. And some of them are just earning because they are doing per hour jobs. And not that they don't earn up to $40,000 in a year. So that's a good one. But what I want us to be thinking that your child also has opportunity to earn much more than this. Your child has opportunity to earn up to about 70,000. Your child has opportunity to earn about $100,000 a year. So if my child can earn 40K and can earn $100,000, why can't I encourage my child to focus on $100,000 per year? So what does it take for my child to earn $100,000 per year? My child must go to those very good schools that are highly competitive. Interestingly, most of them are also need blind. So even though they are competitive, let's prepare our children to get to those schools. Not only those schools, those good black schools. Some of them we have given you information on them in this presentation, because those black schools already have partnership with those high-paying companies to pick their children for, what do you call it now, for internship, and to also pick them for work. Now, if your child does not get full scholarship or does not get major, a major percent of scholarship, and your child is now working, remember that your child will want to work to be able to pay fees. We also want to work to be able to sustain himself, and probably sometimes want to send one or two things back to Nigeria. Your child will not be able to fully concentrate in the school. And what will happen? Your child will end up getting 2-2. And how do you put it now? 2-2 or third class. And yeah, so if your child getting 2 to third class is already reducing your chance of the chance of your child getting good paying jobs. So this is the challenge. That is why I emphasize, let them go to those high flying. Don't be afraid of getting it. Doesn't matter the amount. You have known what it takes. Prepare them for it. So any stress, let them go into the stress now so they can have those opportunities to get to those schools. Because in those schools from year 2, your child start earning big time. And I mean it, from year 2, your child start earning from internship, from those big schools, from those good black schools. So they can go to any other school. So why would the child go and do so? If your child cannot just do any course, let them do those courses that are highly competitive, and prepare them now so that they can get to those schools. So that when they are in school, they are only thinking about how to make their gain. They're not thinking about work. If they think of work, it's not their major thought. It's not about pressure at all. You are not putting them under pressure. They're not putting under pressure. The only pressure you are putting them is what? Make sure that you get very great grades. If you can do that, you can increase your chance of your child not finishing school. If you finish school without what? Without any loan, which 70% of Americans are not even doing. You are in their country, you are not even, they are not enjoying what you are enjoying because they finish with loan. 70% of them. You are getting to school, you are not getting loan, and you are also getting, you now finish school, you are not getting about $100,000 a year, $8,000 a year, which most of them are not even getting. So you are among the top 30%, and you are finishing debt-free. This is why scholarship is very, very, very important for our kids. So I plead with us, let's give it what it takes. Whatever investment you want to do, let's do it so that they can achieve their potentials. And all of us can smile. And we know that God will help them. Okay, so let's take questions. Abolaji Akinyera, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much. And really appreciate the information shared. I joined a bit late, so I'm not aware of the list of black schools that you are referring to, those good black schools. Would you be able to maybe scroll back to the slides that list these good black schools?
So yeah, I'll do that while we are talking, so you can take a screenshot. Okay, no problem. Okay, so these are the black schools that we have. These are some of them. These are not all of them. So these are some of the black schools. You can take a screenshot. And we also even give details, which I will show you in the next slide. If you have taken a screenshot of them, I'm going to change it now. So I'm going to be changing it now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Then we have, these are practical examples. Howard will give you full scholarship if your SAT is 1,500 and above. And your GPA, which is your analysis of the transcript, is 3.75. That's if you have above 7 A's, you will have 3.75 GPA. So if you have above 7 A's, 7 A's and above, and you did the essay that you want to have, automatically, if you apply to Harvard, the chances are high that you will get full scholarship, full tuition. Not only Harvard, you also have Akron State University. You have Akron State University, which also you get presidential excellence. If you have 1,300 in SAT and you have 3.2 in your GPA, okay, then you have Alabama. Alabama also will give you full scholarship if you have SAT of above 1,160. And you have a GPA of 3.57, 3.51 to 3.75. That means the same thing, 7 A's. So these are some of the schools that we know that we talked about. They are more than that, not one. This, so you have to do your research on your own, but these are schools that are like, we have already given you the check sheet already that you can use. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So
thank you very much.
Another question, because our time is fast gone. Another question as we want to round up.
Yes, I do have one question.
Go ahead, sir.
The Common App starts on the 1st of August.
Sorry?
The Common App opens 1st of August.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it something that you can start early, like a year ahead, and your profile is kept? Let's say your child is in SS2 or starting SS2, and then you just work, or is it that they wipe it and 1st of every 1st of
Okay.
August it's a blank slate.
No, it's not wiped. You still also have access to it. Now, one that supposed to focus that applications for the next academic year started. That's what we mean. It's open. It opened August 1. So now, if your child wants to resume in August 2025.
25.
Yeah, if your child wants to resume August 2025, he can start applying now. And the only thing that maybe your child is necessary doesn't have WAEC, or obviously WAEC could have come out by then, before this. So even though the chances will be low, you may not be able to have full chance like those that already have their own WAEC, but they still have, because I know of a school that they applied, and there are schools that will take it that you don't have your WAEC readily available. You still have all the other documentations available. So your child can do that. But ideally, if your child is in SS2, it's better you wait till next year, but it's not a must. Do you understand? But you can do the application now. You can even play around it. There's nothing now. It's free, so you can play around it, but do all that. But they need your SAT score, they need your WAEC, which you don't readily have available. So by the time they are taking decisions, some of those, the chances of considering you are already low, because some of them that they used to consider you are not already available, except the schools are not particular about your WAEC result, which is your transcript. So you are only using your secondary school transcript that you have up to now, and you don't have. So these are some of the challenges that you may likely have, but you can apply. So, but for those that want their kids to go by next year, application is already on. So if it's going to be early decision, which is those ones that you can there's only one school, you can do early decision. You can start application now, and the deadline for such schools is November 1. Or okay, is it November 1? Yeah, November 1 that you have to. So between now and September, October 30, you must have applied to those schools against next year. And for every other school, you must have applied as of December 31st. You must have done all your application. So as from January, you now start waiting for feedback from them. That's when they will now start bringing out the results. But all applications will have been done between now and December. They are not all schools anyway. Some schools still have, like I told you about Fisk and some other schools, they still have their deadlines are rolling, and some have deadlines in February. But most schools, by January 1st, any application for next year, August 25, must have closed. But they still have a lot of schools also that are not, that are only say up to February or to the ending of January. But just have that at the back of mind that you want to do for August 25, applications must start now, and you must have finished everything between now and December.
Okay, and my second question is, I joined at 5. I think you were just starting on the historic Black colleges. So
Yes,
when you were showing their scholarships, could you please show the first page? I missed that. And do you have one? Did you do anything on Ivy League
yeah.
school?
I don't know what is
Share
that.
that as well.
So these are HBCUs. These are the schools. I just showed them just now. Or is this or is this what you mean, or what is I'm talking about?
Yes, this was a slide I missed. I missed the slide.
Okay.
Do you have something similar for the
Ivy Leagues? Yeah. Now you check now. These are what you call need blind, which I've explained. I've explained what, by the way, this is being recorded. I'm going to put it on my YouTube page. It will send a link, so you guys could go and watch it there once it comes up. So you can always visit there. In fact, that's the only thing I want you to how to pay me. My YouTube page, which I will show you. Help me just to subscribe, and this by between now and maybe tomorrow it should be uploaded. Then you can always watch it and help tell other people to see it as well. Now, all these schools that we have here, some of them are some of them are what do you call it now? Ivy League. Dartmouth is Ivy League. My daughter is in Dartmouth. It's about 90,000 per year. Ivy League. Which other one's Ivy League? Yale, Ivy League. Brown, Ivy League. So, and in fact, interestingly, when we say Ivy League, what exactly is Ivy League? Ivy League does not mean that they are special than the other ones. Ivy League, they are probably one of the oldest that you have. That's it now. It's one of the oldest top schools. So that does not necessarily mean that they are much more better, but because they are the oldest, they have a whole lot of endowments. You have a whole lot of, how do they put it now? because they're the oldest, they have a whole lot of influence in terms of partnerships, in terms of the quality of students that go there. For example, now, remember we showed us the SAT scores for Harvard between 1,480 and 1,000. That's the the people 25% that 1,480, 1,560 or 580. Now, for Harvard, it's not because Harvard is that bright, because that is where all the bright students want to go. Because going there, to have it on your CV, the partnerships that you make, the types of opportunities that you get, you may not get in any other school. So these are but some of the benefits that you have in Ivy Leagues. So you have all this, whether they're Ivy League, but all of them are superb schools. And all of them are what? Need blind. They are just looking for the best hands. And so yours is what? Check out their percentile. Your goal is that your kid is having is within their top 25% or from 75% above. Then you do excellently well in your WAEC. 9 A's, that should be your goal. 7 A's is still okay, but your goal should be 9 A's. Then essays. All these schools, I think all of them, they have essays. Essays is probably one of the most important things for these schools. Because yes, you have done academics, we know. You've done SAT, we know you are very good. Tell us about yourself. Let's know that you are creative and you are critical in your thinking. So they ask all manner of essays, 2, sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is your essay that they are highly interested. They are interested in those 2 things that I talked about, because everybody that's going there asks those things. But you need to now discipline yourself with your essays and with your extracurricular activities. So make sure that your kids are involved in all that, and let all of them be documented, because you are going to be submitting documentation for those things, and you're getting recommendations from where they worked. So these are what you need to get to these schools. So even though they look big deal, but they're not really big deal, because I know I have my parents and I know parents that their kids are also in these schools. So it's big deal, but it's not as if it's that big deal that we cannot get there. Okay. Another question?
I'm wondering, sir,
Yep.
if a child is just starting SS3 now,
Yes.
would you say he should apply now or wait until after his WAEC? Because the SAT would also take time for him to get familiar with it.
Exactly.
As you have said, the focus should be on getting his 7 to 9 A's in WAEC.
Exactly.
So should he just focus on WAEC now and some extracurricular, and then after the exams, ace his SAT and then apply to resuming? But that would then be 2026 admission.
Also, yeah, 2026 admission. Yeah, but that's the best thing to do. Let's not be there, because interestingly, in Nigeria, you have actually answered the question. I just want to buttress your answer. In Nigeria,
okay,
most of our kids finish university at secondary school at the age of what?
15, 16.
15, 16. So yeah, by that time, if he is entering by next year, he's finishing maybe at the age of 16 and is resuming school at the age of 16. Now, the truth is that most of their own kids don't even enter school like that. The people that your child will be schooling with in same year 1, they are likely 19, 20, 21, 22. So look at the age gap. So is it actually also going to affect your child? Not that it's not possible. Do you understand? It's possible. Because my daughter entered at the age of, before she was 16. But at the age of 16, but the chances are, but it gave her a whole lot of emotional pressure. And this was a child that was in Covenant in year 1. She was a first-class student in Covenant. She had finished economics. She has rounded up year 1 before she got scholarship, and she went to Dartmouth College. But she got there at the age of 16. It's like she was the youngest in her site. And she was, apart from being the youngest, the pressure was more, because for her to cope with the pressure, both academic and emotional, and the type of things that she's seeing, that she's not used to, the type of, so we need to prepare our kids. So it's possible they can do that, but it's also advisable, let them prepare for the upper one. So except your child has done WAEC now, then, and he has or he's just doing WAEC, or just you want to do extra WAEC, whatever it is, but if he's still in school, let's focus on acing his WAEC. Then the next thing will be acing is what we call it now, is SAT. In fact, he can now apply, even though the chances are low, but you could push your chance because it will cost it will not cost much. It's possible they cannot do for the January 2026 admission. It finished maybe sometime in May or June 2025. You can push for 2020, you can put for January 2026. And it could work out, like I told you, the chances are low this period than in August. But you can push for it because that's everything and he has done very well. Let's push for 2026, January. Or just prepare. Let him go and use this from that when he finish everything. Let him go and prepare and do extracurricular activities and get other experiences apart from academics. Then prepare for August 2026.
Okay. You mentioned that your daughter finished from Covenant. Does this also work?
No, she didn't finish in Covenant.
Postgraduate?
She started in
crossed
Covenant.
over.
She crossed over. So
Okay.
I would that cross over because you have to go and start from year one there. No, it's not as if she started from, she moved from year to year. She was already in school year, but we know what we are preparing her for. And because it's taking time, she went to Covenant. Then we have to wait until when everything works out, she will withdraw from Covenant. And she has to go and start in year one there.
Would you have insights into postgraduate?
Yes, I have, but I don't want to talk about it. Yes, I have.
Later. All right.
Yeah, maybe sometime I will do that one. Yeah, but I want to focus on undergraduate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so one last question, and we'll call it an evening. Any question? Yes.
Can a student
Go ahead, please.
Can a student that graduated 2024 apply for the 2026 2026?
Okay. If a student graduated in 2024, that's a good one. That means this year. So why can't the student apply for 2025?
Because the student doesn't have his SAT result yet.
No, it doesn't matter. That's not an issue now. You have if the student, this is August. We have next one taking place in October. Student can apply for the October one. The other one is taking place in November. So you still have 2 exams that student can do. If another one is coming, I think there's another one in December. So students still has 3 exam SAT that the student can do.
Okay.
It's for you now to choose the one that you know you fully prepare for and get yourself fully prepared for it. But more importantly, like we said, your WAEC. If you have 5 days, then I will encourage you. If you have 5 days, I encourage you to apply now. In fact, do your what do you call it now? If you have my email, send me an email. Or send, if you get any invite from us, send an email. I would love to see, because this is the first student that's talking in this class. I would love to see your WAEC, and let's see whether it's something that we could do in support with your parents, what could help to get done. Send us an email. Send my friend an email.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. The last person, Bonlanley Edwards. This should be the last one, please, because I've taken our time. After Bonlanley Edwards, then we go to the next slide and we call it an evening. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such an enlightening and informative session. I just want to say thank you. I mean, people pay to get this kind of information. And also to clarify the beats, because I didn't hear JAM in all of your discussion. So does it mean that JAM is not relevant here? Since you said SAT is almost like JAM. So does it mean it's not relevant? Because my son starts from JAM, starts yesterday. And he's asking, he doesn't need to do JAM.
Firstly, let him do JAM because you have to have a plan B. Like I said, my first daughter, her plan B was to, while she was working on this and it's delaying, she also applied for it. She was applying to Unilorin, so she did JAM. She was doing medicine in University of Ilorin, and we withdrew her when everything worked out. She did year 1 there, and she left. My second daughter also, she was in Covenant. She had done what do you call it now? She's the best student in economics in Covenant in year 1. Then she left when it comes out. So let us still do JAM. It will not stop. It will not stop this one. Now, when I mean that SAT is like JAM, what I meant is that the way to enter Nigerian university, you will need JAM. That's how you will need SAT to enter US. But that's just a relationship. There's nothing else that connects them together. So it's like saying that Bolt is like Uber for the same transport. They are not the same thing. So so basically that is where the connection comes in. That for US schools, what you need is SAT. You don't need JAM for anything in US school. JAM is for Nigeria, and you do that. So we say advice, let the child do JAM so that
I can't seem to hear you anymore.
So there's no audio.
Off. Sorry about that. I had an issue with my connection. So I guess sorry about that, please. So this is where I stopped. And I think just follow me on YouTube and also on Facebook. And the recording will be there. And we're going to post it on by tomorrow or next tomorrow. It should be there. Just follow me and subscribe. This is just what I want you guys to do for me. Then we are good. So I think at this point, we want to call it
I have one last question.
an evening. Okay, fine. Go ahead, sir.
Things like international baccalaureate, advanced placements, etc., those sorts of things, are they worth the effort?
Yes and no, because and that's a good question. There's someone that called me that said the child wants to do IGCSE, whether they should do it, and the child is in Queensland and they want to do IGCSE, and they said, what do I think? And it's maybe about £1 million. The school will prepare them and all that. And I said, if they can afford it, they should do that, but they don't need it to study in the US. That what IGCSE will do is the same thing that WAEC will do. As funny as it is, that's the truth. Only that IGCSE is much more deeper than WAEC, but the truth is that when it comes to admission, that's what IGCSE, and the only thing, IGCSE is more authentic. The same thing with baccalaureate and all that. You will use that. So it's still equivalent to their own diploma there. Only that they may not go through assessment. Like I said, for the black schools, they may take it because that's internationally known. They may not go through that extra assessment, but it is not for US schools. Like I said, everything I'm talking about is based on US. So all those things are going to be like equivalent to their own diploma in the US, which is the same thing your WAEC will do. So if you can do that, fine. But the only thing about those things is that they give you opportunities for other schools. Like you want to do schools, and you want to go to schools in Europe and a whole lot of other countries. Yes, those ones will help you. But for US, it's not a must. And it's not an added advantage. Because if you did very well in WAEC, you don't need any of those things. But if you did very well in WAEC and you do those things, if you can do that, that's very good. Because one of that you will enjoy is that they will help you when you get to school. In terms of you're already getting used to the type of questions that you'll be seeing, but not necessarily when it comes to admission. It's not important, but it's good if you can do it. And for other countries, they will help you, but not US. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Yeah. Enjoy your week and have a great week ahead. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you
everyone.
very much,
Yeah.
sir. We are
Bye-bye.
grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. Would await your YouTube
Yeah.
details.
So let me just go there, search for it and subscribe, and we'll
Can you
upload.
show,
Thank
can
you
you
very
show the
much.
YouTube details again, sir?
Okay, I'll show us now.
Thank you.
That's just my name, Abiodun.Adetula. Just search for
Okay.
my name.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening and your week. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye-bye.